We're live.
Yeah, man. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Flat Out Elected. Flat Earth is home for time and the world will not stand still. Entropy is the lore of existence, and for those who only look to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. What's going on, Rand Campbell?
Will not stand still. Just sec. I don't know why.
Oh, it sounds like a nice little echo to start off the show with. Yeah, good, nice little turbulence going on there. Very good, very good. We just got done watching Patricia Steer. I think it was 138, and had Isa on there with, I think, Ben. I can't remember who. Oh, Nathan, of course. And just the nice little Flat Earth and Other Hot Potato crew. Of course, the most hated, I think, in the Flat Earth.
There you go. That was a minute. Yeah, so that was a kind of a good hangout. I thought it was an interesting discussion she had tonight.
Yeah, it's weird because obviously you and I are very biased, being Christians, but obviously we are open to hear these other people's. I don't believe there was any Christian on the panel, but that's okay. Obviously, we're open to many ideas and thoughts of many of these people. That's very loud, Rain. It's an echo. I can't mute you because there's only two people in here.
Just a second. I don't know why there's an echo. Let me just figure this out.
Yeah, just that. There you go. But yeah, I think that when I hear people talk about like the definites of like reality, like how can I prove right now is now, that's when I kind of got to say, well, wait a minute, you got a problem, because if you can't say now is now, then you can't make any claims, and then what you're doing is you're throwing all of your credibility out the window. But Isa is obviously an extremely intelligent person. I'm not sure what he means by that, but there are absolutely absolutes, and that's how I know I'm on a flat plane of existence, because I understand reality. I mean, I know the flat earth more than any other absolute I know. I can't guarantee my truck's going to start tomorrow, even though it has for 15 years, but I can guarantee the earth is flat. So when they go into that spiritual mode about I don't know if I can prove that now is now, I think they're really stretching. I think you're stretching for a problem that we don't have. And I think it's almost in a wrong direction. Like you're trying to be honest and liberal and tolerant so you don't offend anybody, but that's not how reality is going to work. When problems occur, they have to be fixed. So we definitely need to stick to absolutes, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. But you see, these are people that haven't come to terms with a God. And I understand that. I mean, they've been deceived so greatly their whole lives that, when you finally come to a reality that, we're on a flat surface and quite possibly enclosed with a dome over us, it's a lot for people to accept that. And if you haven't come to terms with God, then you're going to be angry. And I'm only not angry about all of this truth that we've come to, and from flat Earth to the Satanism in the world, and to New World Order and Illuminati and the Bilderbergs and 9/11, and just the whole gamut of deception. The only reason why I'm not mad or upset is because of God. I can assure you, if I came to any of this truth without the comfort of God, I'd be very angry, brother. I don't know that I could just come up on YouTube or on G Plus and just talk about this. I don't know that I could do that. I think I would be so angry to find out that this world, not me personally, but that the entire world, and that so many people, my kids, my grandkids, my parents, my in-laws, just everybody is so deceived. If it wasn't for my relationship with God, I can guarantee I'd be a pretty angry guy, man.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Now, I admit I probably lose my temper than most Christians, and more than anybody on the team. And I do have a short fuse because if you're not being honest to me, that means you're lying to everybody. This isn't about me. But once you come across my path, and I'm going to talk to you, because I don't take anything more serious than, of course, the Bible and God's creation. So it's all one for me. There's no like, oh, I can use this here. No, this is God's creation. This is very special. And, Patricia Steer does make some very good points about, the confusion about why and how and where. And I think she has a very honest approach. The way I look at it, I think that she deserves a little bit better treatment, even though, of course, she's not perfect. I think she does a lot more work than most of these people combined. Rather she is perfect or not is irrelevant, because I guarantee the people complaining about her and scoffing at her have their own closet full of plenty of issues they need to deal with first before they should start attacking a nice lady who presents herself in a very well manner and actually in a very Christian manner. If I were to not know who she was and see what she was doing, there's a 51% chance where I could say that looks like a Christian lady, but not that I'm trying to give labels, or she is or she isn't. I don't have any label for Mrs. Steer, but the fact of the matter is that she holds herself very well, and there's no reason for anybody to have this type of negative, I guess, output, and because there is so much flack, there's a lot of divide. There's haters. You can take a flat earth out of humanity, but you can't take the humanity out of flat earth. So guess what? We still have all the same problems we've always had, because we're still humans, and there's hateful, jealous people that want to be more special than the next person. And that's the true problem. It's the people hating on others, whether they have a reason or not, which I believe is something that is much more damaging. It doesn't matter what you do. When Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed in the Bible, hey, what's going on, Jibby? God didn't necessarily do it because of like the sins. He did it because they were justifying it, because they were out in the open with it. It's kind of like just like when you're talking to a friend, there's two ways to do it. You can do it if you have a problem with one of your buddies or your wife. You can do it in public, or you can do it in private. But how you handle yourself in public, even though I've been wrong many times, and I admit that as a sinner that I am, the way that she presents herself is excellent. And that is where we have to hold her up to the standard she is. We can't think about what we don't know that she is or isn't. However she presents herself, that is her fruit. And we have to respect her for the fruit that she gives. So if she gives great fruit and doesn't ever hate on anybody, doesn't mock the Bible really, maybe people tied to her tried to do that and there's some confusion. None of that matters, because everybody else's actions, nobody's actions have anything to do with the next person's. If I do something wrong, just because you and I are brothers, Rand, doesn't mean that it's your fault because I did something. So again, these people try to tie people to find more reasons to hate. And again, this is the biggest issue. And more than anything that I actually have, being Christians, I have the biggest problem with Christians or so-called Christians coming forward in the way that they are treating people when it comes to truth. And I think that's the biggest problem in my eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, Jibby Jedi in the building. What's going on, man?
Where's the building?
It's right here, bro. Sonoran Desert, man. You're in the Stargate. What's going on, man?
In the house, in the Dragon Stargate.
That's right, bro. Yeah, did you see Aunt Patty's show?
Oh, I did not.
It was pretty good. Isa was on there, and I thought he was on DMT for a second, but then they assured me that was normal. But yeah, it was interesting.
Isa had his own exclusive?
I think there was 3 or 4 people. Nathan was on there, I believe.
Was it the Secret Hangout show?
Yeah, 138. Ben, I don't know Ben very well. I think I've seen him once or twice. But yeah, it was a smooth show. Is that him? There's so many names, Jibby. I don't know.
Ben, as far as I know, Matrix Decode is Ben. And I don't know. I didn't see it, but that's who Ben is.
Yeah.
Flat Earth that I know is Matrix Decode, who used to partner with Wakey Wakey.
Yeah, you're another example, Jibby. When I talk about this, like I've told you, I don't care about labels. I would much rather have somebody like you, even if you were to, which I don't think you are an atheist. If you called yourself an atheist, but you handled yourself the way you do, Jibby, that's 1,000 times better for people that believe in Christianity, the people that care about the truth, than the people posing as nice people, pretending to be Christians, pretending to be, and we know who we're talking about. And And they're the ones always hating. And it's so difficult because the Christian, and this is why I know that you have such a big problem with Christianity. Look at the way these so-called Christians act. No wonder I can't get you to jump on the Red October permanently, Jibby.
I've received so much hate from Christians, just asking questions. That's it. Because
non-flat Earth, right? But non-flat Earth Christians, right?
Both. You know what? No,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yep.
Yeah, let me correct. I cannot say that I received hate from flat Earth Christians, because now they think about it, no. If people have gotten a flat Earth Christian or not, they're usually fairly humble. Not so much hate, but I have gotten a lot of hate from Christians just for asking questions, because I want them to prove their model, so to speak. Or I ask questions, the hard questions that maybe they don't have a good answer to, they feel confident about, but so they're speculating. Well, God means this. And I say, well, that's your opinion, though. You know, you can't really speak to me as if that's a fact. And then it turns into Bible the arguing, which I don't like, because that to me is a division. It's a tool of division, Bible the arguing. I've never seen a Bible discussion that ends in a handshake, a thank you, a lollipop, and you go about your way and everybody's happy and friendly. No, it turns ugly. Why? Why does it turn ugly? You know, that's...
Well, except for Paula.
Except for Paula, but even Paula rolls her sleeves up now and then when it, it calls for it.
Well, good for her then. Good,
ugly, but she gets stern and firm, but not ugly.
But another thing is, the interesting coincidence was that many months ago we ran into some issues. We don't need to mention names, but those people turned out not to be flat earthers, and it's like, okay, and all right, so that makes no sense, so people are so afraid of titles as it is. It's ridiculous. Like, who cares about the title? I mean, I love that the title pisses everybody off. That's kind of one of the greatest things about it. You tell somebody flat earth, like Rand says, it's pepper spray in the face. These people are cowards. Don't tell me they're a Christian when they're too afraid to call themselves flat earthers, and then telling everybody it's a psyop. I mean, that's, this is one of the problems. And, it was detrimental. It really bothered me a lot, and I felt really bad for a while. Because I put trust into these people and I let my guard down, especially because I thought they were Christians. And man, I'll tell you, I don't know what it is, a pseudo-Christian movement, an American Christian idea that these people are not real Christians. And I'm not even talking about the haters. I'm talking about the total scoffers, the ones that just come vomiting and, just the full-on zombie globetards. It's just pathetic, and you can't even get them to actually read the words in the Bible, and they'll tell you all day it's allegorical when they want it to be. So again, this is exactly why I understand why Jibby has a hard time when Paul and I try to tell him to come over to the red side and, hey, blah blah blah, hey, we all done this, that, we all try to help each other out. But then people like this show up and we work on these things for other people that are seeking truth to find out who God really is, who the creator really is the Bible true, where are we going when I die, where did I come from, why am I here? This is what people want to know. Once you realize the flat earth, you now have 1,000 more questions, even though you just got 1,000 answers. And I think that's why it is the most important job for Christians to actually walk the walk. They are, if you're going to call yourself a Christian, you are now absolutely authorized. You are responsible to walk in a certain manner, especially to people seeking truth. So if any person does that to you, Jibby, they're absolutely not going by the book they have said they believe. And that's the biggest problem, is that, right? Just pull out the Bible. I bet you could talk about the Bible and actually get them to hide from it. And you could scare Christians away with a Bible. And that's what we've run into. And that's how freaking psychotic this is. And it drives me crazy.
I'll tell you, I never thought I would be so close with Christians before Flat Earth. I used to be a Bible/Christian forum troll before Flat Earth. Actually, before most conspiracies. Before 9/11, I was the guy in AOL trolling Christian chat rooms and throwing out SWAT stickers and anything disruptive. Not that I believe in the Nazis. But the programs that I had were terroristic, and they would throw out SWAT stickers and stuff like that just to be disruptive. I was Tim Osman to the Christians in forums, in places like AOL, which banned me for life eventually. Not that I didn't deserve it. I was a bit of a pirate terrorist in AOL and just a jerk off. I was a troll jerk off who was just messing with people just to get a laugh out of it, a chuckle. And guys like Tim Osman are exactly that. I know my own kind when I see them. There is nothing about him that deserves 5 seconds of anyone's time. Anybody that throws him on a panel is just giving him what he wants. Like, I know, like, I speak from experience. I thought Christians were completely retarded. Really. Like, I thought you people were like Flintstones. Like, what is wrong with you people? Like, it's like, well, at least the mentally ill are cordoned off into one label, is what I thought. You know, pre 9/11, not any time recently did I feel like this, but when I was younger and a little more naive, 9/11 really kind of boosted me forward, as it did with most of us. So I had to come a long way to learn my lessons and to be able to say, I was a fool, I was a jerk off, I was wrong, and immature. You know, I had to, like, go through some bad things to learn from them. And now, you know, even though I don't believe a lot of these things, well, it's not a matter of belief, but it's a matter of, I don't get it when it comes to the Bible stuff. You guys talk about a lot of the story, like Jesus, for instance. You tell me anything about Jesus, and I'm like, this guy is the greatest thing I've ever heard. And nothing I've heard about Jesus do I disagree with or argue about. But when we get into the other things about the Bible, I do chime in with some things that don't make sense. But the stories about Jesus, I've never, ever had a problem with my whole life. I'm like, this is a great story and a good influence on many people and a great example to live by. I've always thought that. And man, I mean, I looked like Jesus in high school. I had long hair and, you know, a little fuzzy beard kind of thing. And they were like, cut your hair, cut your hair. And I'm like, the person that you people worship and put up and down the hallways and in the classrooms I look like, and you're telling me not to look like him. Does that make any sense? It kind of shut them up. They didn't really pursue it, and I continued with my long hair in a Catholic school, which they wanted conformity, neatness, cut your hair, wear a uniform. Everybody had short hair. Everybody looked clean cut, except me and a few other rebels. But I brought it like Jesus. I'm like, dude, I look like the person that you people have founded your school after. You know what I'm saying? Like, to tell me to not look like him seems a little strange and a little hypocritical. But that's the one part of Christianity that I've never contested whatsoever, is the stories of Jesus. Whether it's true or not, it can only help. It can't hurt to read it, listen to it, live by it. That's how I feel.
Wow, well said, bro. Yeah, it's it's crazy because it sounds like you're preaching, but whatever you're doing sounds great. It sounds like a Christian to me, a real one, and not a hater, not a coward. And that's the thing, is they don't realize, Jibby, is that it says, and you know this, it says a coward will not enter the kingdom of heaven. It even puts cowards in the same category as murderers. And that's obviously, you're not a coward. That's how you were polar opposites, of yourself 3 years ago. And it took something for you to change. That's because you rose up. You rose up to the challenge. Well, these people calling themselves Christians can't do that. And they're the ones swearing the oath that they are going to do it. So that's why it boggles my mind. It drives me crazy, and I don't have a solution for it, but it is the biggest problem. The scoffing Christians are the biggest problem in the world. Do you realize how hard that is for me to admit? I think it's literally the biggest problem in the world is Americanized Western white society.
Well, the problem, brother. And hey, Jimmy, how are you? Is that we have now crossed into a society, and unfortunately this did happen, where intelligence became the new, it's like, I don't know when it went there, but for some reason you are, the more attractive you are. And it's extremely unfortunate because, you've got some of the, and I don't want to be rude, but you've got some of the least intelligent people who have conformed to a worldly education under the guise that it promotes them as being intelligent, when the reality is that they're not. And so Christians are subject to this shift as well, that you have Christians now that rather than be just in a simple relationship with Christ and have an understanding of who Christ is and that he is God wrapped in the flesh and that he had to tear through the dimensions to bring us out of this evil, nasty world that we know Satan has dominion over and bought dominion in the Garden of Eden when he sold it to Adam for sin. And when you have an understanding of Scripture and this walk in Christ at a level that is not religious and that is not contentious and that is not combative, it's just a relationship with Christ based on love, because that was his last commandment. You know what? I don't think you're going to be able to follow all these rules. The 10 Commandments, you guys have already proven you can't handle them. We had to flood you. The better they knew how to articulate Scripture and argue Scripture and debate Scripture, that the closer they would come to God, and that God would, hand them the keys to heaven, that they would be able to come and go at will. And the truth of the matter is that Jesus Christ said, many will come in my name, and I'll spit them out like lukewarm water and tell them I never knew them. Because I can tell you every single thing that there is to know about Mike Tyson, to the point literally where you would say, wow, this guy's friends with Mike Tyson. And then you could meet Mike Tyson and say, oh, listen, I ran into a buddy of yours on the internet, Rand Campbell from Flat Out Elected, and Mike Tyson would be like, yeah, he doesn't sound familiar. And then you could show him a picture on your cell phone. You go, yeah, this guy. And Mike Tyson's going to look at my picture and go, I never knew him. So I don't care how much you think you know. It doesn't matter what you know. It's that Christ knows you. That's the truth of faith. That's the truth of religion, if you're going to call Christianity religion. It is a relationship that Christ knows you. Now, with that being said, you can obviously, Jibby here denies, from my understanding, a deity. Okay. That doesn't assert that one doesn't exist. It just means that he hasn't concluded with the evidence that he's been given that there is a deity that we would know to be the Christian deity. Yeah, Paul is invited. Anybody's invited. I don't care. You can invite anybody you want, brother. But until Christians realize that if there are two absolute truths in the Bible that I will argue with my fingers wrapped around the throat of Satan. Number one is that Jesus Christ died on that cross for our sins, and through him we get eternal life. And number two, this world is greatly deceived. And when you're able to connect the two, there is a sense of peace, joy, and freedom that is unexplainable. When you do that, you get to know where you live, which is a flat earth. You get to know that Satan is operating very heavily in the world today. And you also get to know that you're safe. You're not going to get hit with an asteroid. You're not going to have, rock showers, and aliens aren't going to be coming and abducting us. You get to know that you're safe, that God created a world with a dome over it, and he's got us all here, and we're kept safe. Do you know what the biggest threat to us outside of Satan is? Ourselves. We are destroying we. Why? Because through free will, we have chosen to abandon our observation skills, abandon our common sense, and conform to a world that literally deceives us. This world deceives us. And when you conform to something that deceives you, guess what you become? As Scripture tells us, you become a fool. A fool in his heart says there is no God. And that doesn't mean that because you haven't come to know God, that it makes you a fool. It just means that most people of this world that remove God in a completion have left a massive hole in allowing the deceptions to be their reality by conforming to a very world that we know is deceiving.
Well, I think flat Earth was the thing that got me to absolutely solidify and cement the reality that we have a creator. That's it.
Oh, there's a creator.
Done.
And
End
I
of
don't
story.
know, Jimmy. Maybe you and I should have a one-on-one one day. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
But-
I was agnostic for a very long time. I was agnostic. And for a little while in my younger years, I was atheist and angry.
Sounds like a
most
salvation
atheists.
issue, Jibby.
I guess it was. I
See?
have since like found my way, my place, my purpose, and I can't label myself a Christian as of right now. Yet I find myself like walking the walk to the stories I hear about Jesus, and I'm like, okay, I've done that. I'm on that page. I'm with him. There is nothing about him that I disagree with. Everything I hear about him, I go, right on. That's exactly what I would do.
Well, we didn't even
I'm
prep
a
you, Jibby.
Jesusarian, if anything. Like,
Yeah, man. We didn't prep you. You know, you didn't know that we were going to say these things. But here's what's so crazy, that you just proved 25 or whatever, 50,000 so-called Christians wrong. Right now, the non-Christian just proved 50 or whatever, how many tens of thousands of these Christians scoffing, just proved them all wrong. Every single one of them continues to tell us that this is not a salvation issue. And I was putting together, you know, the idea, and I wasn't, you know, okay, whatever, but Rand himself, that's what his statement was. And I'm not going to take his quote away, but he was the first guy to say, actually, flat Earth is a salvation issue, because if you are agnostic or an atheist and you come to it, there's a very big chance that, guess what? Now you're no longer an atheist. You're no longer agnostic. That is an absolute salvation issue. You just proved 50,000 Christians incorrect.
I have been. It's funny because when I came to these certain areas, from a outside the Bible perspective, the first thing that came to me was, is this what they meant by "are you saved"? Because I felt saved, is how I felt. And then I'm like thinking, because, you know, before all this, you come across the people who are like, have you been saved? Have you been saved? And you're like, yeah, whatever. Totally. Yep, I've been saved. Thank you. But call it Kundalini, call it whatever. It's basically the same thing we're all describing as far as where we're at. And I was like, I feel saved. Like, I finally feel like I get it. When they say, are you saved? I'm like, no, I get it. Okay. All right. I get it now. But prior to that, you just make fun of it because it doesn't make any sense to you. But, you know, this is the thing. I label it something different than you guys. You guys have a different name to it. You have a different tag on the box. I call it the Force. I call it, you know, God being the Force, electric consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I just have a different name, but I'm a warrior of God, a warrior of the Force. I'm a Jedi. That's who it chose me. I didn't choose it, is how I feel. Like, I didn't want this. I'd rather be playing Xbox right now and ignoring all the serious things in the world and not be so global. You know, I don't want this. I mean, I didn't. Now I think I do, but I didn't. I didn't want any of this. I wanted a quiet life. I wanted a nice, simple, quiet life that made sense, where I was comfortable, had a family, and, went about my life. And this,
well, yeah, you're 100% right, Jimmy. Who wants this? I mean, think about it. As much freedom as I have received in coming to the knowledge that I came to, and make no mistake about it, brother, I didn't invent the knowledge. I didn't I didn't go out and somehow collect all this information that I would become a flat earther. This came to me the same way you're saying it came to you. I woke up one day and just got looking at a few videos and because I already knew the world was deceived and had absolutely no faith or trust in this world. It wasn't a real big leap for me. Like for most people, it's probably like a big leap. Do I jump on a flat earth, or do I keep spinning on this wet ball? The wet ball, the flat earth, the wet ball, the flat earth. For me, it was like as soon as I seen it, it just resonated with me to be truth. And so here I am, and of course, I'm a very outspoken person. I do a lot of speaking. I do public speaking as a Christian, and also as a salesman. I own a promotional company, so I'm not afraid to speak or to say what I feel the need to say in a crowd or in a short room. So this particular topic is always on the edge of my purpose for talking to people. I don't find a lot of enjoyment talking to people that are asleep, and I don't mean that to be rude, but I have no interest in sports, video games, movies, television shows. I just have literally zero interest in the ways or the conformity of the world. So when I speak to people, I'm looking for that opening. You know what I mean, brother? Like I'm waiting for somebody to say, it's, I'm going to buy my kids a really nice globe for their bedroom. And I want to just say, wrong answer, perfect record. No globe, it's a flat earth. And I want to get into that conversation with people. And I really don't care what people think or say. I'm a pretty big guy and I'm an ex-boxer. So most people that I speak to, they don't get rude quickly. So I'm kind of fortunate that way that I can kind of, hold down a conversation with people in the sense that they're not going to get rude with me too quick. And I can hold a person down in a conversation long enough to give them some of the vital information that they might take a look. As a matter of fact, I got buddies of mine that were out and out ball earthers, out and out NASA junkies. I mean, these were, Star Wars. They had the Star Wars outfits in the closet, and just complete and total.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
nothing wrong with that.
We'll talk about it privately.
Oh man.
and but they were just of the world, and the world just kind of, had them. And guess what? I've literally, I wouldn't say me. I guess it's God, it's truth, it's time, it's as you said, it was brought to you. You weren't brought to it. And the truth of the matter is, I've got friends now that are flat earthers because I must have said the right thing at the right time in the right way, with the right amount of kindness, love, and respect, and with enough intelligence to be able to convey flat earth as an idea that they went and looked. And as they looked, I mean, the information is there. Most people, Jimmy, that I find that are not capable of coming to a flat earth reality are people that refuse to look at the information. Those are the true. If these people literally said, okay, I've been lied to my whole life, let me go and see. And if you go into this research with that knowledge, with the knowledge of knowing that you've been deceived, I promise you, 9 out of 10 times, unless you're a complete enslaved reject to this system, you're going to look at this information and you're going to come out a flat earther, period. Unless, like I said, unless you're a complete slave and you're completely brain dead, I don't see how you can't look at this information and not go, wow, something ain't right. Especially the curvature, especially the spinning, and just I mean, there's so much, but curvature alone should have people questioning what is
Yes.
really going on.
That's the top one for me. Curvature. Lack of.
I agree.
100%.
Paul is here. Hi, Paula.
Paula, what's going on?
I finally got on. I tried using a different computer tonight, and it's just not working. I think it's too slow. So back here again. What's happening?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Paula here has been a friend of mine for how long now, Paula? Since June of 2015.
Yeah, I think so. At least
I
June.
think that was the actual month. And I don't know, Paula, can we be more different?
I don't think so.
I don't think we could be. I think we're about as different as it gets. But except for our common grounds, which are the things that matter in life, the things that really matter. Paula and I are on the same page. Although we conduct ourselves and our lives a little different in our hearts, we're on the same page. And therefore, I have opened myself up to everything that she stands for and is an expert at, which is the Bible and the translations of it and such, and basically like her interpretations of the Bible. And I'm open to it. And I've never been this way. I did 12 years of Catholic school. Couldn't hate it more. Let me tell you, after that experience. And I didn't really follow along with the story of the Catholic school whole indoctrination system, but Paula has opened my what I don't know what to call it. Opened my doors to welcome in something I despised all my life, but now with the flat Earth, like I've been humbled. I have been humbled before this creator. Like, wow, I've been humbled. Like, so you know what? Not only do I not know it all, I don't even know anything. That's how I feel. Like, I don't know anything. Please, by all means, I surrender my everything, my ego, my whatnot to holy crap. What's the best version, the best story of what is really going on here? So I've opened up my doors to the Bible, to I've never had a problem with Jesus. Even when I was an atheist, I still like Jesus, believe it or not. Even when I was an atheist, I'm still like, that Jesus guy was cool. Because how can you say anything bad about anything about Jesus? How? As an atheist, I like Jesus. Just because that was a great story, a great guy, a great example. Just come on. I mean, if people are honest with themselves, they would say the same thing, because you cannot fault the stories of Jesus. And it's so well written that it's like, wow, how deep is that wisdom so far back? You know, it seems like you have to live a long, full life of problems and tragedy and turmoil to get to that point of understanding. And this guy, 2,000 years, 1,000, whatever year it is, this guy had it down and smooth. This guy was a cool cat. He had it. It wasn't even like he was the Fonz. Although the Fonz was the first Jedi on television, but you know what I'm saying. Like, and you know what was Jesus? Look at Jesus. That's the first Jedi, right? Look at his gear. He's got the hood, he's got the whole thing. He's the Jedi. Hello? You know what I mean.
Yeah, I think it's, I sit there and through that whole conversation that we had over in the message boards that, where all this started, it's just like, I think neither of us expected the other to be the way they were, because it wasn't just, I was a Bible pusher, thumper, whatever words people want to use, but I wasn't behaving the way you would expect, the other ones you've met like that. And at the same time, you were not, doing anything like I was, expecting from someone who usually, comes starts out criticizing the Bible and saying this and that and the other about God, and we fought to a standstill, didn't we? Because I don't think we could figure each other out.
Yeah, it was very confusing.
It was.
But
And-
I value your friendship, and I value who you are, regardless of your beliefs, because I see your intent. To me, that's different than somebody's actual beliefs. And you may think I'm retarded for not, being where you're at in your page. And, we all have our own personal bias. Like, we're all secure in where we're at in our beliefs. And then we see somebody else on another page and we feel sorry for them from our subjective perspective. We're like, oh, they don't get it. Like, we get it. But are we all right? No. We're all probably wrong, but right in a certain way. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we all have our own personal. I don't feel that way. I feel like, oh man, like I've shared what I know and I want to know what they know, and maybe I can get my puzzle a little better, oriented with the pieces. Like, I'm missing Bible pieces.
yeah,
I am not good with the Bible. You guys are the experts on this. Like, I have all the other areas covered, but I don't have Bible. And so I'm open to it, but I'm reserved at the same time. I'm not just going to like open the floodgates and accept everything I hear, especially having a life of being lied to, as we all have been. We should all be reserved, but at the same time open. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be open, but when it comes to fantastical things like NASA, I want to see proof. And I approached this with the Bible. I want to see proof of such claims. Well, I do see proof of a great flood. Cha-ching, check. Goes with the Bible. That kind of stuff. Like, all right, I like to verify these things for myself, but not take the word. Now, you guys have all read the Bible cover to cover. I have not, but I'm coming at it from an honest point of view where I'm all right. I'm going to trust your opinions before I've read it, but at the same time, take my criticism of it and don't disrespect me, and I won't disrespect you. Let's converse and, help me understand your perspective. And I think Paula is very patient with this, with me especially. I can be up and down, and it takes a big heart. And a lot of you guys have big hearts that I just didn't see before. Yeah, we're all blind until we're not.
and
That's the only way I can
like
say it.
I think Pillbox was saying I was in and out trying to figure out my technical issues, but that what you were saying about the parts of the body working together is exactly a Christian teaching. It's what the New Testament says over and over about, especially Apostle Paul saying about we're parts of the body. So how can one part say to another, I don't need you? And each part has its own job to do, and the body functions when the parts cooperate and not when one tries to set up a chain of command to another part. And so many Christians don't even get that. And another point is actually that you said is actually the heart of the gospel is knowing the person and trusting. What we're asking people to trust is a person and that's what connected us, is the person, knowing the person, seeing how they behave, how they conduct themselves, and how they deal with different ideas, whether they run from them and scream and throw rocks at the different ideas, or whether they examine them, confident in the fact that whatever is true will stand up to any kind of criticism, any kind of examination. And that kind of person is the kind of people who will come together regardless of any other differences, whereas people like within Christianity who all have supposedly the same beliefs clash like, the ultimate sibling rivalry, because they're not those kind of people. And what makes a person one kind or another, I think it's a lot of influencing factors, but in the end, you choose whether you want to be like this person or that person, or what seems reasonable to you. And that's it, it's not going to be something we can quantify and calculate, but I think we have an understanding that goes beyond anything we can express, because it's we're been having so much trouble trying to figure it out and say it, but yeah, we agree on so many things, and I think the trust issue is actually absolutely keyed on knowing the person. And through all of the drama and everything else in this community for the last year, we find out who you can trust and who you can't, and who's in it for the right reasons. And that's true of any kind of belief system, secular or religious.
Can I say real quick, Jibby, that I think a lot of the problems for many people that start realizing that God is real and the Bible is obviously somewhat true, which you have to admit, there's no way around it. I think the title issue is the biggest problem. I think people don't want to be labeled, just like they don't want to be labeled flat earthers. And the only other thing that compares to being a flat earther is being a Christian. And because it is what it is, and it is the most hated, revered, and loved, and greatest and worst thing ever. And everything you want it to be,
dude,
anything you want it to be.
Title. I would honor that title and wear it as if I were actually homosexual. I would wear gay as a very honorable title. I'd be like, you damn right I'm gay. And you know what? I'm going to actually brighten it up just because you don't hear it too well and you have a problem with it. Like, that's me.
And you're
but I don't
like me,
have
bro.
those titles. Like, I wish I could carry a Christian title. But
he's a rare guy. He's a rare guy, Rand.
Wait a second. Jimmy, I just got to I love you, brother. But we have certain individuals in our community that like to do a thing we call quote mining. And they like to also, and Pillbox is very familiar with this. They like sound bites.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that is one. But Jibby is that comedian though. He outdoes me every day, Rand. He is that guy.
I just you know, bro.
Bring it on.
There are some people in this community that are looking for exactly what you just did. I
that's
try not
fine.
to make those
that's
kind
fine,
of
because I'll take what they do and I'll crank it up even more to make it more.
Oh, I know you will, man. I do it to them too. They can't stand me. When I first came in this community, I came in with my testimony. Like you've heard some of my testimony. I come from a very rough beginning and a very rough, harsh life, and I am the true meaning of a gangster. But I'm not talking about the saggy pants gangsters.
Oh,
no, I wasn't wearing a ball cap. I was wearing
existence of La Flatro Nostra. We don't.
Right. So. I come in this community. I was coming in to just tell a story to let them know, look at Jesus Christ reached into this man's life and brought me to peace and joy through salvation by the grace of God. I'm here today. So I came in with that, right? And got attacked quick and in a hurry. Like the next morning, this is back in the day when on YouTube, they used to be able to do video responses. So you would put a video out, and then you could hit video response, and you could respond directly to the producer of the video. So I woke up the next day, and after putting my testimony on YouTube, and I didn't really think much of it. I had no idea that people knew each other in the community. I just figured you put a video up. I had no idea that everybody knew each other, and that there were trolls. I had no idea what a troll was, but nobody would ever troll me in my real life. They'd get their chin checked, so I didn't think that anybody was going to, attack me. But I got up the next day and clicked onto my video, and I seen I had like 5 video responses. So I was like, oh, people like my testimony. Maybe bringing some people to the Lord here. And I clicked on the first video, and it was somebody making fun of me, calling me all kinds of names. And I thought, oh, well, that was weird. By the time I got through all 5 videos, I was so livid and I was so mad. I did a video threatening to beat up every single one of them, which was a nightmare, because now I've got 20 videos calling me a Christian thug and a thug for Jesus. And I even had people threatening to put me in jail because I told them, if you ever come to my house talking to me like that, you'll end up leaving with your jaw on the other side of your head. And of course, that didn't work out well. Well, from there, I don't know. I got a couple of Christians that, kind of liked what I did, because most Christians live by the rule, turn the other cheek. And I was a new Christian. I was like, I hadn't been a Christian more than 18 minutes. And I come from, like I told you, I come from the gangster world. I come from a real thug life. And so for me to turn the other cheek, that just wasn't going to be a part of it. I'm going to tell you, that Jesus Christ is Lord. He loves you, and you need to get right with God and get on your knees and repent. And I wasn't playing games with that. I was quite serious. But it took me a long time, to be honest with you, through this journey to come to this level of love, brother. Like, to be able to say, you know what? I get that you can't come to the Lord. I get that you don't believe. I get that this world has calloused, your heart and hardened you, that it's very difficult to imagine a God that loves you, that would die on a cross for your sins. And I get that you don't even think you sin. I get it. I get it. And it took me an awful long time to get on my knees and to be able to repent of myself, that I would understand that, when Jesus Christ said to love as he loved, there's some real truth there, man. Because, when you come at somebody in a combative emotion, even with this flat earth, when you talk to people about the flat earth, if you're going to come at them, beating them up and slapping them out and insulting them and mocking them and kicking them in the face and dragging them, from one end of the flat earth to the other to try to get them to realize that they're not on a spinning web ball, it's combative, and people don't respond well to a combative displacement. You're already going to displace people when you tell them that we're on a flat earth. You're already going to get them through their own observation skills to recognize and hold on a second, something ain't right in the world. But if you do it with a combative attitude, you're not going to get a response.
Yeah,
well, you're certainly not going to get a response that's successful, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jibby. What was that?
Yeah. You're the most hated Christian in flat Earth, Pillbox.
Thank you.
You know have a wrench on Globebusters. How did that happen?
That's weird. I would have to say I have a medal, actually, and it's a little box, and I'll show it to you sometime for that award they gave me.
You have a wrench on Globebusters.
I think Bob must have gave it to me. You know what it was, actually? This is so funny, Jimmy. I got to tell you this. Bob, he did some video. There's so many. I can't remember whatever. But Charles is in there. I think Charles, brought it up and said something, real smart. And I started talking to him, and I asked him, well, who was the first person to ever go over the South Pole? I mean, how do you know who it is? And he didn't know. And I go, well, so you're telling me you don't even know who the first person ever did it. You don't know any pilots that ever done it. But you've said this claim, this website or this scam website, this Qantas, Scamus, Shillis, airlines that goes up, it flies by a South Ring wall, then goes back to base and tells you that you flew over the South Pole. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, Charles. Well, then he looked up who the first guy was. He goes, oh, it was Admiral Richard Byrd. I go, oh, so you've been here 6 months talking to us, and now you realize who Admiral Byrd was. Thanks, Charles. He's been here 6 months. So, but that was so funny. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Who Admiral Byrd was?
I am. Listen, yeah. I wish I was kidding right now, because this is frightening. I like Charles. He's my favorite Glober, but this is what frightens me sometimes. And maybe this is why people call me crazy, because this really kind of makes me go, man, that is a little disturbing, because I've been talking to him for months, and now he's on his 5th day into research. Supposedly. So if Bob saw that, that was pretty funny, because when I mentioned it to him, he denied it, called me a liar. But Bob said, yeah, I saw that. And I think after that, he gave me a wrench. I guess somebody got Charles. Sorry.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't use a wrench anyway. I'd rather just beat them, though, and slap them in the chat the whole time.
I don't know, Pillbox.
So, sorry.
I liked you a whole bunch until I saw that wrench. Now I got to wonder.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, you know what? Okay. Yeah, I have been called a shill. There is a part of the, there's many continents to the flat earth. There's supposedly this really interesting group of people that is worried about the white race dying. Boy, these people are so nice. They're one of my favorites, and they call me a shill because I am supposedly racist against the white race. So I am actually hated. I'm the most hated by that part of the flat earth is the save the white race flat earth. So I also do have enemies here. So it's all good though.
Well, I mean, I can go through a list of people who deserve a wrench on Globebusters, and I gotta say, you're probably not in the top 25. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. It's funny. Something happened, and I want to know what it was. Because they don't give them out to too many people.
You're special.
You got some splaining to do there, Pillbox.
Now, this doesn't mean I'm automatically a shill now, does it?
Not automatically, maybe manually.
Well, all it takes is suspicion sometimes. That's
I know it's like
I question my
the
own mother in this there, Showbox. So you know what?
the rape accusation. It's like the guy gets, the basketball player or whatever. I don't want to bring up this kind of subject, but the guy always holds that. So once you call somebody a shill, he never recovers. That's it. It's like, oh, you're not a real flat earther if you listen to any of these people at all.
I would never call you that, Showbox.
You don't. Yeah, you do. If you listen to anybody like Patricia Steer or Nathan Oakley, you're absolutely a shill as well. So that's the rules that I've heard. So.
That is the rules, and I do listen to them.
Yeah.
And so be it. I will be on them.
And actually, Paula was actually a ringleader. Paula got caught, controlling people, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an insane world. Listen, again, the humanity still exists within Flat Earth. Don't forget, we're still people. Yeah.
I'll be on any of those shows or any shows I can be anytime I get a chance. If that's a shill, so be it.
Because my discernment isn't always dead on, but you seem like a really sharp guy.
I try. Sharp as a balloon, a nice cube on a balloon, I guess.
But as smart as a bag of hammers. That's what my
right.
Yeah, that's what people used to say about me. They said, like, "Wow, you're about as smart as a bag of hammers." And you've been friends now with my lady friend here for how long?
Paula?
Yeah, but year and a half.
Wait, year and a half. Yep.
Okay, I'm just gonna give you some discernment. She's in your life for good reason, brother.
I feel that way, and it's obviously the truth.
We don't cross paths and come into the presence of people as godly as a woman like Paula by accident. And I'll just leave that right there.
And I don't bring her with me everywhere I go on this YouTube flat Earth adventure without reason either. This poor woman, I've dragged her through the mud. I can't even count how many times. I've said, Paula, you're coming with me on whatever adventure I go on. If I get to fame, you're coming. If I don't, you're coming too. Like let's do this. And
okay, I'm just gonna do a quick shout out to the chat.
And she brings it. Like people who claim to be Christians, she brings it where she's like, I'll donate, I don't know, throw out an example, 30 hours of my time, and she won't ask for anything. She won't even be like, well, I did this 30 hours for you. Doesn't even throw that in your face, but she'll mention it when it's necessary, but not like throw it in your face. I did this for you. Now I'm going to manipulate you through guilt to do something. Like she just does things because she wants to and feels right about it. And I'm like that. And I do want to see that in other people. And I try to, and sometimes I think I do when it's not really there because I want to see it so bad, but I see it in Paula and it's rare.
No, I met Paula the other night, and I gotta say, as an older Christian man who has had his share of the world, I don't generally get very impressed with a lot of people, and especially Christians. And I mean, I am a Christian, but Christians don't impress me. But I got to be honest, Paula, the other night when I met you, just your ability to discern truth, understand truth, relate to truth, deliver truth, and be scriptural was very impressive for me. And I just wanted to let you know that.
You guys it's a good thing I don't have my camera on.
Why, your head won't fit in the frame?
Yeah, it's ballooned up like you wouldn't believe. Yeah.
No, but it's very true. If there's anybody that you guys want to invite to this chat, You guys are more than welcome.
Oh, cool. I was thinking Neil deGrasse Tyson and Joe Rogan.
Oh, Neil on the grass for Mike Tyson. I would love for him to come into a chat. I would love to just slap him around for about an hour, and as well his buddy,
Michio Kaku or Bill Nye.
Yeah, Bill Nye, the science guy.
The actor.
I heard though that he said, I heard in that chat tonight I was watching with Patricia. She was saying, or one of the guests were saying that Bill Nye recently said that it's very possible we're in an enclosed.
He didn't say it was possible. He said we are.
We are.
He said Earth is an enclosed system. That was his statement from capital letter to period at the end of that sentence. Earth is an enclosed system.
So far, he has said that we are descendants from Martians, and we are in an enclosed system.
Yep. He spoke factually about the enclosed system. He didn't say it speculatively, like it seems like or it's possible.
So when he's saying enclosed, does he mean enclosed based on
the system? Yes. He said it factually.
He said enclosed based on what though? The atmosphere.
He did. He got into the nonsense of it, and I don't remember it offhand. But that specific statement, it's something I logged in, is something for the court. You know, that's a factual statement that he said. That wasn't NASA dance around. Like, all right, we got a big announcement. There could possibly be, maybe, might be life formed, possibly on Io, maybe. In fact, possibly, maybe, could be water, maybe, possibly.
Or not.
Or not. Or maybe, possibly. It could be. And that's NASA. It's all about, okay, I got nothing out of all that 4 hours of bullshit. They don't tell you anything. They dance. And eventually I got to the point with NASA, like I'm like, big announcement coming, and I'm like, let me guess, liquid methane, whatever it is. I didn't even know what the topic was, but I would throw out liquid methane because they always say, oh, there's possible oceans on said moon. Turns out liquid methane. It always is liquid methane, no matter what it is, how far away it is. If it's not Earth, it's liquid methane. And you get used to that. If you follow them long enough, you just don't expect truth. NASA will be like, big announcement, big announcement, big announcement. 10 years of this jerking off, you eventually go, yeah, I know. I've been on this date before. You know, I know what's coming. And you don't bother. And then you give up. But you're depressed. For me, I was depressed because this is what I wanted to do. I had like a choice, carpentry, electrician, or astronomer. I go with astronomer. When that seems a little out of my league, I go with, all right, how about planetary scientist? I want to deal with this, is what I'm saying. So I just want a title that fits me. I'm not exactly the best math guy. I don't understand how to divide a garbage can by refrigerator. I don't know how to do that. But apparently a genius does. Plastic divided by metal equals X weird symbol. Duh. Are you an idiot? Like, no. Yeah, give me something I can work with. You know, not nonsense. That's what the math goes to. It goes to nonsense. It goes to caveman symbolism. And they go, what's the matter with you? I guess you're not smart enough. So people give up because your brain goes, no, not doing this. And you're like, oh, but I got to do this to get here on the ladder of astronomy. It actually comes down to who you know, not what you know. You can be a D student and be president. I can give you an example. But seriously, that's what it comes down to. It's who you know, not what you know.
Exactly.
I know everything about the story of astronomy and the heliocentric model. I know nothing about what it really is. And I'm trying to learn that now, starting over again from the very beginning where I'm doing backyard experiments and home science projects and all this stuff. Like I'm doing it all over again. I'm having a blast, but I feel like I'm 10. You know? Like why do I have a 10-year-old's perspective of where we're at? Unfortunately, I think we're all there. So I want to help get us to where we should be.
And that's exactly what I think anybody who's honest about all this is doing. Was we have a unique opportunity to reset the scientific method. It's gotten way off course, and by these academic people you were mentioning, that they've got the names and the titles and the funding, and the whole system is self-perpetuating circular reasoning, to put it politely. But we need to go back to the garage scientist who just has common sense about things and knows how things work, and says, what happens if I combine this with that? And makes a record of it and repeats it and says, okay, this is how science is done. And that's what we're trying to do with our very limited resources on such huge areas. It's like trying to, as the saying goes, empty the ocean with a teacup, because we don't have rockets. We don't have the fancy, great big telescope time, and with who knows what electronics in it. We don't have submarines. We don't have the ability, the money, the stuff you need to go to Antarctica or the North Pole. And it's frustrating, because it's not like we're doing little electrical experiments and finding out about that, hey, I can make electricity or something. We're trying to go, where are we? What is it? What dimension is this? And questions that take everybody's resources pulled together to find out. And so the entrenched behemoth of a system is resisting that by keeping us scattered and fighting and all this. And I don't know what to do about it. Other than each of us just doing what we can. It's like the old illustration of a kid along the ocean shore, seeing the little baby turtles hatch and seeing the birds come to attack them. And the little boy just picks up one at a time and puts it in the water, and gets another one, puts in the water. And an adult comes along and says, you're not going to help very many of them. There's millions of these, thousands and thousands of these turtles, and the birds are going to get a lot of them. And, you're not really making a difference. And the little boy says, well, I made a difference to these few. And that's all that really matters. That's the kind of attitude we need. It may seem like a waste of time or a lost cause, but we have to try. There's something in it about trying.
Amen. That was a beautiful analogy. I want to, Jibby, know that some of us are a little maniacal in the sense that, when you realize that most of these people can't even call themselves a flat earther, you're even in a smaller minority than you realize. No, you thought you were a group of this percentage, and it's actually even smarter, because even if you've noticed in the internet, we're not the greatest people. I myself am not the greatest impression of a human being. I admit that. But some of these people, some of these scoffers, some of them are even worse than me. And that is just crazy, I know. But some of them just give a bad example. And there's a lot of foolishness. There's a lot of hate and cussing and beating up and just really bad name calling as well. And, I think I'm guilty of it as well. I admit that. But I usually don't say anything, though, unless there's a really big reason, though. I always have a serious reason. So I think it's reached a level, where, as you notice, just look at the Hangouts, there's like pockets and, like this, like, we kind of sometimes, hide away. We're not as open as some people sometimes. We're not out there all the time. We are, more of a, I guess, an alternative. There's just, we're all different groups. But the fact of the matter is, Jibby, is that, you're actually a real flat earther, and that's hard to say. So, not saying that you need to give me that title and you're going to swear to that, but that there's just a difference between flat earthers and people that come here saying, oh, I'm not a flat earther, every time they come in here. It's okay. You're right. You're all right. So you're here to learn. Oh yeah. But I actually, and it's whatever. There's a lot, and that's okay too. I'm not mad at those people, but to be here and I'm not saying I take pride in this, because this is where it would lead to. I take joy in it. It just makes me really happy that, all those years of studying certain things and understanding all the work, it worked out. All the work led up to the right thing. It actually happened, bro. Like, you worry when you're a kid, like, am I going to do this? What am I going to do in life? Well, guess what? You wake up to the flat earth and all those problems are gone. You realize that you already had the gifts from your creator. You already had it all right in your lap. Richard Byrd himself even said that the less a man has, the greater his life is. And then that's from, of course, a Mason in the military, who's the highest ranking, probably the greatest hero in modern time, and maybe the most credible scholar in the history of the world, period, because of the fact that we have him on video, which has only been around for, 100 years at best. And we have sound video of this gentleman in the 50s. So this is a man that I really hold a lot of credibility to. And the fact that just all the things he says, and him bringing up loyalty is the most important thing, because he has to keep the secret. These things, and there's some people that go, oh, I don't know, whatever, how does that work? Oh, that's hollow earth, or no, it's okay. Well, it's not really, you're missing the point here. This is the whole point of what they're hiding with the flat earth. So, not a lot of people even get the clue. Like, it's not just, no, you're right. It's not just flat, and it's not just this. But the point is that you can't even start with flat earth. You haven't even begun. There is a whole other world out here that they're hiding from us, and you understand that. And it's a lot of people, they're back and forth, and there is something so massive that we don't even, it would literally shock us into, probably give us a mental problem. Some people would break down and go like, we'd go A4 style all over again, so this isn't for everybody. Even the flat earth makes some people crack. As we've noticed, the flat earth sometimes is too much for a lot of people. And there's nothing to compare to this. And you realize, what I love about you, Jibby, is you realize the severity of this. You're not taking this lightly. You've changed your whole life. Just like we literally did the exact same thing at the exact same time, within months of each other. We're in the same world. We got free, literally woken up at the same time, in a time that's never even been close to in the history of mankind. In 2,000 years, this has not happened. There's nothing else like it, bro. So you're one of us. The title doesn't matter.
That's what I say. Title labels, nonsense. Where are we at? What are we doing?
Right. It's no accident
Get 'em.
that my dog is barking. It's no accident either that this the whole flat earth thing leads people to believe in a creator. I think that's that's something that all the years of creation evolution debates never could even come close to. It's really amazing to watch. And I will go see what the dogs are upset about. I'll be right back.
Somebody's ankles are getting hurt.
Well, if anybody is interested in coming in and joining this discussion, you are more than welcome. I don't know how we would get the...
They said they wanted to watch. Rose says she's too busy, that she's got, her important things to handle. She couldn't do it. So
She lies.
she said, I think, she was like, I don't want to hurt Jibby or something. I don't know what it was. She didn't want to attack Jibby again.
I am not.
What would Rose be...
Bring it.
Oh man, dude, wait a minute. Were you here?
Mouth and flat earth.
Were you here when Rose got on that was the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. Was it cathexis that she was yelling at? I was dying. I was like, this is what I love about the flat earth. There could be a lady like Rose that people will actually let them insult her because she's a lady, and true flat earthers respect ladies. I was like, this is phenomenal.
Well,
I couldn't believe
cathexis
it.
apologizes to everybody. He's the flat earth apologist.
No, it was hilarious. I thought that was
he submits to everybody. Sorry, cathexis, but you do. You submit to everybody, including Tim Osman.
Well, that's a little revealing. Okay.
I like cathexis, but he's just weak.
No, he's not. I think he's on. He's right
strong
track.
in his mind.
I think he's on a right track. I think he does good.
He serves a purpose.
He's good.
Open. His heart.
No, he's good. Big. He's good.
His heart is too big, and people step on it because it's everywhere. It's too big.
Yes. Some people have no heart like me, and I'm gonna harden their heart because I have none, Jibby. So we have to have nice people too. I'm sorry, we can't all be jerk scumbags like you and me. Come on,
dude. You know what
you're
you
the
are.
flat earth.
You know what you are, and I like the way you hold it in.
Yeah, you know what? You and I are the two worst flat earthers here. Yeah, in the world. Actually, the two worst true flat earthers ever. Yes.
And you have one of the biggest, bravest hearts in flat earth. And my favorite movie is Braveheart because I call it Jedi heart. because that's what he was. He had a Jedi heart. You have a Jedi heart.
No, you're too kind. No, you're too kind, bro. Don't worry about me at all. This isn't about me. This is about, you're way too, it's not about me. And that's where I don't want to direct any attention at all, because it is much bigger than me. And that's why it pisses me off, because there's a lot of people that hurt it. So it is what it is.
Makes you a Jedi. You jump in the shark pits. You jump in the piranha pits. You jump in, and you, as the most hated Christian in flat Earth, jump in with shields down, ready to go. You don't care the odds against you. That's a Jedi. You are humble. You are humble before the Force. You call it God, Jesus. It's still the same thing. You kneel before the Force. You are humble to it. It guides you. It guides your actions. It guides you as you guide with it. That's what they say. Does it control my actions? Partially. But it also obeys your commands. That's you. That's me.
Well, yeah, Pillbox is just... I've known Pill now for a few years. We used to have a channel called Unlocked Planet, and this was before the Flat Earth. I mean, we kind of dabbled a little bit in it, but we were mostly about, evolution and the education system, Satanism and music. I mean, we hoaxes, all of it. So we're really full gamut truthers. But I mean, right now the flat Earth, for what it is probably the most revealing of all truths before us today. And when Pill got onto the flat Earth, when he grasped it, because this is a man that loves nature. I mean, he's got reptiles and he's out fixing cars and he's a desert guy. He's out there, doing his thing in the world. And when he realized that he'd been lied to, and that he was the last guy they should have let know this, because Pill is going to force you to check yourself. A guy like me, I'm going to just, try to give you the odd rand slapper here and give you some information that hopefully will provoke you to think past the deception that you've been living your life in. And Rose is just, as sweet as they come. You don't get any sweeter to Rose till about 11:15 at night. Then you don't mess with Rose, because she's going to come back with some of her own slaps, Rose slaps. And, with every Rose, there's a bit of a prick, right? So she's got that too. But Pillbox for me has been a wonderful friend and a really, really good partner in this thing exposing truth. And I couldn't be any more secure that even with you, Jibby, and with Paula and Arcane and the people that I've met in this flat Earth movement, I couldn't be any more graciously humbled than I am with this group, because the truth is that God has picked the right people to deliver this message. And they can say that, flat earthers are stupid and we're this, we're that. But you know what? They know that God has put together some of the smartest people to know this particular truth. It is not by accident that the people that know this flat earth truth have collectively come together and have been able to put so much evidence and so much research and so much love into this message. It is by no stretch an accident. This is God's doing. And so I just say that, Pillbox for me is a warrior that I would trust under any and all battlefields. He is a true warrior for truth.
Yes, he is. I'll give you that for sure.
So why do you think all the hate, Jimmy?
Jealousy.
Because truth offends. Truth offends. I mean, Jesus Christ said that he was the truth and life, and nobody gets to the Father but through him. So if he called himself the truth and then makes this statement, they hated me first. We know that this world is so deceived and has locked into the deception as its only identification. The world identifies under a deception and has no clue it's deceived. So when you tell them the truth, it offends them. And you know what offends them even more, Pillbox? when a guy like you tells them the truth. Do you know why? Because they think they're smarter than you. They think they should know more than you. They think that they articulate themselves with their, their educations and their upbringings and their perfect little lives and their non-struggle existence. And they just think that there's no way that you could know a truth they don't know. How dare you show up with the truth and offend me? And that's what it comes down to. You offend them with deep cuts of truth, brother. And they can't take the pain.
Well, that's what
well, I was just going to say, I'm sorry, knowledge capture. I was just going to say, I think Arcane Logos has the same issue I do. I think that the atheists, if I were to pick one person that I've seen hate him more than anybody, it's Arcane Logos. And I think it's even worse because he's a black guy. And most of these people think they come from monkeys. And that just automatically, it absolutely annihilates them. And he is the most well-rounded pound for pound speaker I've ever heard in my life, basically, for the most part. And he just about has every field covered. I've never heard anybody like him. Everybody hates him, like literally, but he has, obviously a lot of people love him too, but he is absolutely hated, like no one I've ever seen.
Yeah, I was just going to say that what you're talking about is what Apostle Paul said was the aroma of Christ, that to some people we are the fragrance of life, and to other people we are the stench of death. And how they react depends on, how they accept the message and what they think of the Holy Spirit, because that's how they'll react accordingly. And so if you're getting that kind of reaction, it's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because you're being salt and light. So there you go.
No, I think that might be Rose Patton. What's going on, Rose?
No audio. Oh,
Rosie.
She's having trouble.
It's hard. It's hard. I don't know what it is lately with these things are not working right. I don't know. Yep, something's wrong.
Yeah, it's been a lot of trouble to get on the Hangouts lately.
I'll tell you what it is, and we're going to just go off topic for a quick minute. We can swing back, but I was reading Mark Zuckerberg has come out with a 7-point plan to set up algorithms that are going to prevent truth videos. Anybody, they call it fake news, but anybody that is doing videos or corresponding to this thing that we know to be the truth in opposition of mainstream media, they're going to be blocking and disabling channels. Also, I heard a speech from Obama today where he said that all of this fake news and all of these lies that are being spread out with all these YouTube channels and all of these videos and websites are going to be stopped. They're not going to be tolerating us anymore. And I did a video today on it on this channel, actually, because the truth of the matter is that we knew that eventually at some point they're going to come after the truth, because we are coming way too close to what they've never wanted us to know. And millions of people are waking up. And so they are really putting an effort together to stop this truth. And they're going to do it, I believe, within the next 6 months to a year. You're going to see a lot of big channels shut down, and you're going to see a lot of Facebook channels that are going to be frozen. And you're going to see a lot of people being shut up in this community.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting from now till January when the new president is sworn in, because if he's legit, which is still a stretch in my opinion, but if he's legit, they know they have to do something drastic in the next few months, because if they're going to pull off the silencing of all opposition and do all of these things, not just in the U.S. either, they want to do this in Europe as well. They got to do it quick. So hang on.
Yeah, it's definitely coming. Like I said, I read a whole article from Mark Zuckerberg. He's got a 7-point plan to shut down truth videos on Facebook. And because with these Podesta emails that have come out about this Pizzagate and all this stuff, we're getting way too close to them. And the flat earth has exploded over the last 4 or 5 months. And we're getting way too close to the truth. We figured it out. Everybody knows now who they are and what they're up to. And they never thought they were going to get figured out this quickly, or that if they did get figured out, that it would only be by a small population. And people would just go, these people are all nuts, conspiracy theorists. But now it doesn't look that way. It looks as though we've been right the entire time. And you know why? Because we have been. And we've gotten too close to the truth. We've gotten too close to them. And I'll bet you on the inside, they're all starting to freak out. And we already know that these people that have been controlling these elitists are all spineless, dirty, nasty, backstabbing, lying, conniving, and cheating. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to start ratting on each other. You don't think that if Hillary actually gets charged that she's not going to start ratting down the chain of command? You don't think she's going to start putting it on everybody trying to look for a deal? You don't think Bill Clinton at his age isn't going to start putting it on the Bush family and everybody that he can to try to save his own carcass? Of course he is. That's exactly what those people are. They're all spineless, nasty, sellout, dirty, conniving, sniveling, weak, spineless pricks. And every single one of them is shaking in their boots right now with all of what's going on. The flat earth movement is killing them. How many times have they mentioned flat earth? Obama has mentioned it a couple of 2-3 times. They're trying to discourage people because we are coming close to what they don't want us to know. We're figuring it out, and we're also getting other people to wake up and figure it out as well. And you can make no mistake about it. They're going to shut this down if they can. So here's my advice. Get as many videos out. Spend as much of your free time on this as you can. Open up Twitter accounts. Open up Instagram accounts. Open up as many different media accounts as you can. And spend as much time as you can pushing out memes and pushing out videos, getting this truth out there, because there's going to be a time in the very near future, like I said, 6 months to a year, and I'll guarantee you most of the big channels will be gone, and channels like this that aren't so big are going to be frozen, or they're going to be attacked. So just know that this is exactly what they're up to. We right now are in the middle of a war, and we don't fight the flesh. We're fighting demons and principalities, and I promise you they're coming after us.
I just want to point out real quick, if Trump doesn't end the Fed and put Hillary in prison, then he's for the establishment. And he's already got some guy from Silicon Valley that's in the Bilderberg group on his team.
Right.
And then he's getting Mitt Romney as Secretary of State. So, yeah, he is for the establishment. He lied, okay? And I already knew that. But he did do some good things by waking people up to fake media, to voter fraud, and to other things. So he did participate in an awakening, but he is still part of the establishment. He's going to do some good things, but in the end, you're going to find out the truth. He's one of them, period. So if he doesn't end the Fed or put Hillary in jail, fuck him.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is
Hoax.
yeah, it's a circus, but it was a surprising selection. I always call it a selection. Whose faction is coming in and blindsiding the Clintons faction? You know, the Clinton, Obamas, etc. It's an interesting play, and it might. You know, I don't know who to say is behind it, because it doesn't seem to be the George Soros faction. Whoever is in charge of another one, we don't even know, and that's what's scary.
No, this is the thing. I do know.
Uh-oh.
No, I do. This is what it is. You have the black hats and you have the white hats. Right now, you have what we've been having for decades with the Clinton, Bushes, Obamas is the satanic That's the black hats. All right. They've been in control. So when 65% of the votes got Trump in, what happened is they destroyed that corporation, United States Satanist cabal. And that's why all their secrets are being revealed and being brought out into the open, and they're being exposed, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That's a good thing. But this is the Luciferians, which is Putin, Trump, and other people. Those are the white hats. So it's a different color hat, but it's still a hat.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Right.
Paula,
So that's what's
Paula,
happening.
I can't get past your cursing and I'm sorry. You better bring it a little bit more correct.
Sorry.
All right. Follow here. Sorry.
Yeah,
Rose is probably right.
I have a real hope that people that come onto this channel would keep the vulgarity down to as close a minimum as possible.
Yeah, Paula.
Not because I personally can't handle it, Paula.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is that I would love to see this channel grow, and I think that it would grow in the correct direction based on the attitude and articulate method that we deliver this truth. And I don't think that vulgar language is going to help promote this channel. So
please, thank you,
Jimmy, for straightening her
I've
out.
heard this
Yeah,
for months.
I appreciate you straightening her out. Thank you, sir.
What a foul tongue on this wench.
I know. I say
Trying to
Bible a
preach
lot.
Jesus with this wicked tongue.
If I can ask Rose a question quickly, Rose.
Yeah. What's up, Ryan?
You and I go back quite a way. You actually were the one that initiated you and I even teaming up in any kind of way in this thing called truth. So I hold your opinion in great regard.
And I appreciate your tongue, Rose. Don't get me the wrong way. Like I like how you bring it raw.
Not in a gay way, though, right, Jim? Not in a gay way.
No, Rose is extremely tough.
She's the opposite sex, so there is no gay.
Yeah, Phil, I'm not.
Okay. Is that really?
We haven't confirmed that, but let me get back to my question.
No, it says unisex. Salon unisex.
Way too much woman for you. Stop it.
Facebook just
she's too much woman for you, bro.
Giggity.
Facebook
No,
just
you can't
announced
handle
that
Rose.
on
Probably can't.
when you
might be
sign
right.
up for Facebook now, they're giving you the option of 60-something genders. So at any rate, I wanted to ask Rose, what are your thoughts, Rose, on Obama's speech recently in respects to shutting down fake news? And we know what that means. And Zuckerberg as well came up with a 7-point plan to shut down Facebook if anybody were to put a video up that was not fact-checked and verified through who they're going to deem as being as being the truth or as being qualified as a fact-check site. What are your thoughts?
Well, recently he did the speech in Peru. So are you speaking on that?
No, Zuckerberg came out. I read an article. I think I posted it on G Plus this week. And it was basically in respects to he has a 7-point plan that he's going to use to set up Facebook in a way that you can flag videos and block people and report people that are putting up truther videos that are not fact checked by a source that they're going to deem appropriate.
No, that's not okay.
And as well, Obama came out with a speech I watched today where he said that they're coming up with a plan to block all of these fake news channels because it's propaganda to turn people against government and authority.
Look, this is what it is. They're reversos. Everything they do is in reverse. It's introverted. Just like the cross, the Satanists have the cross upside down. Just like the star, the Satanists use the star upside down, pentagram. Everything is introverted. So when they talk about fake news, they're just talking about themselves. When they talk about they don't want fake news, that everything has to be fact checked, it's through it's just control. That's all it is. It's just more control. Period. It's ridiculous. And people shouldn't stand for that, because CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and all these people gave us Sandy hoax, gave us 9/11, gave us Boston bombings, San Bernardino, Columbine shootings. They've been involved in all this fake news. So who are they? What facts are they going to check? Who are they checking their facts against? Their own? And they lie? No, it's all. It's
well,
just
he
bullshit.
actually said that they're going to be getting information. Well, Zuckerberg said they're going to be relying on journalists like CNN, Anderson Cooper, Wolf Blitzer, and all of these real journalists to figure out how they investigate the truth, so that they can as well combat us or those of which whom are putting up videos that are untruths.
Well, he's part of the establishment, though. So what does it matter what he's saying?
Well,
Sorry.
no, I'm just saying. What's your opinion on the time frame that we're going to start seeing because they're going to go after the bigger channels first. So,
yeah,
what are your thoughts on how quickly they're going to be doing that and the methods of which they're going to be?
They're already doing it. MSNBC was attacking Alex Jones, and he's a big channel. Okay, he has over 1 million subscribers, almost 2 million, and they went on national TV and said, unsubscribe. Stop listening to Alex Jones. So they're already attacking him, and they said he's fake news. How is he fake news?
And he's one of them. Interesting.
And that's the game they play, is that they control what is fake and what is not fake. It's just a game. It's a game.
Well, it's also a psychological operation.
It's all absolutely a psychological. He is one of them, and they're going to tell you he's fake. What the fuck? So, yeah.
I agree. I don't even think it's, I never paid attention until the last 2 weeks for the last like 6, 7, 8 years, because obviously, the last couple of weeks, and I really, it did look good, and I really, really like the Black Lives for Trump move. That was pretty cool to see, honestly. To be honest, that was pretty embarrassing for liberals to see how many black people were supporting them because of the economics and because they're still deceived and they're still in la la land. So when I look at it like, well, this is the beginning of at least some good, but actually. Some of these conservatives, I worry about it because now they're more complacent. So actually, my actual conclusion is that Trump was picked by Satan, the god of this world, and that it was passed down because it is now automatically subdued like some sort of lobotomy millions of Republicans. As of all of a sudden, a country that kills millions of people is now the greatest country in the world because now we have Trump. So even though we kill more people than every country ever combined in the last maybe 50 years, it's okay now because even though we can make masses of Holocaust and wipe out nations of people, well, we have a Republican for president now, so it's all good. And you name it. So it's really bad, actually. It is reversed. You were correct, Rose Patton. It was reversed on us. We were fooled again, and it's a scam, and they are all of Satan, and it's all a massive deception. And the only person that can save you is Jesus Christ. I personally believe. Didn't Miss America say that? I personally believe. Oops. Well, Jibby, that's, you know what I mean? I don't know what you think about that, but I'm so crazy. I think Satan picked Trump, and it's so embarrassing because he actually was by far the best candidate. That's what's so crazy. Everything is backwards. You see what I'm getting at? It's not what we think. It's we are being controlled when they're controlling us. That's the point. You're being controlled. Now people are now. Could you imagine how pissed we'd be with Hillary right now? We'd be like, "That's it. We want the nukes to launch. Let's launch the Red October, ICBMs. Let's have them." That's what I would have been saying if . But no, look, even we have changed our tone a minute. We sat back and said, "Oh, wow, thank God we don't have the worst criminal in political history as our president now. Oh, it's relaxed." And we all relaxed. Even the most stringent of maybe technical conspiracy theorists and true skeptics relaxed all in a sigh of a breath because of an election that was rigged.
Oh, especially
we are
Christians.
still controlled. Yep.
especially
for.
Christians. William Tinsdale
Boy.
just put a video out. My buddy William, what is it called? It's right here.
No, I don't get along with him though. You know that.
That's okay. He's still a pretty smart guy. He just came up with a video called "Trump: The Donald Trump Deception and the 2016 Election Hoax," which I'm going to watch before I go to bed. It's 2 hours long. Maybe I won't watch it tonight. But with that being said, even Christians, when Trump got elected, they were like, "Oh, praise the Lord, thank God, oh Jesus." Thank you, Jesus. Yes, Lord. And you know what? You're not getting into that position ever unless you're one of them.
Right.
Period. So, yeah, he might have been able to, slickly maneuver his way in and around like a snake to make Christians believe that they got their man in. But he's already backing away from everything he said during his campaign. He's already backing away from the wall. He's backing away from having Hillary Clinton investigated. And he's backing away from Obamacare. So who is he? Rose? Who is he?
Well, wait a minute, Rand. Rose, you there to answer? I want to give Rose the first shot if she's there.
She keeps dropping out. She's got no respect tonight. She just
I was going to say, Rand, like my mind has been trained and I've been shocked by the truth of life so many times. I am that, and I don't know how to describe it, but it is the antithesis of what you'd think as a Christian, but it's bad. I had this weird feeling like it's actually not a good thing when especially as Christians get complacent and then satisfied with the decision of the government, because I'm not satisfied. And now that you're telling me Trump's actually now backpedaling, good. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that he's showing the true colors that I know these people are, and they are for themselves, and they are not going to do anything for you, and they don't care about you. And it goes all the way down to the policeman and the judge and the lawyers and especially the lawyers. Let's put that out there. These people are all designed to protect criminals and to oppress poor people. So don't get it twisted. Don't forget who Native Americans and black people and imprisoned white people, all races. I'm a very racist flat earther. I apologize. But the fact of the matter is we've been fooled again. And I like it that now he's backpedaling and that people are going to maybe wake up, and go the right direction now, because then it'll force people to not trust them again because they can't learn their lesson. They can't learn their lesson. So like I said, I think we might have been better off with Hillary if we would have been more awake, and it would have shocked a bunch of conservative Christians into a new level of awakening. Maybe I've been wrong the entire time, and I've been tricked again I just realized it.
I think they just knew that if they had to make one side of the country mad, they didn't want us mad. Because exactly what you said, we would be a far more effective destroyer of their ways than the left ever can be, because they're stupid about it. They just are. There's no other way to describe it. They're, acting like crybabies, and all that is just the rest of the world is laughing, I hope, at that. And it's just, you just got to see by hindsight, and it's frustrating sometimes, but I would think we've been down this road enough times that we see the pattern, but there's always a twist in the road, and we got to watch out for that.
Well, France is protesting now, and Canada is protesting. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't. They're not protesting for the right reason. I mean, I'm a businessman. I live here in the Dominican, but I have a business in Canada, and I operate about 80% of my revenue out of America. And I import from all over the world. But so I get from a business standpoint that you might feel motivated to protest on social media, or write a letter, or maybe make a phone call in respects to Donald Trump, talking about putting an end to NAFTA, which, as a businessman dealing in America, NAFTA kind of works in my favor. But in saying that, the ones that are protesting, have you seen the protesters in Canada?
I've heard
Have
little
you?
bits about them, but I don't watch the news. So.
Okay. All right. I'll describe them for you. And I don't mean to laugh, but they're the ones that are looking to share bathrooms with women and be able to maintain a decent beard. So this is the people that are protesting in Toronto are, because I'll tell you what the fear is. The fear is that Donald Trump is going to reverse everything Obama did, because that's what Obama said in his speech. He said that if you don't vote in Hillary, the other candidate is going to reverse all the work we've done. Well, he didn't do any work for the black community. He didn't do any work for the economics of the United States of America outside of the bailout, which was a great big hoax at the beginning. He didn't do anything for business in America. I can tell you that because I have thousands upon thousands of clients throughout America, and each and every one of them said during his both terms that it was a very rough state for American business. So what Obama meant when he said that he was going to that if Trump got in, he was going to reverse all of the work that they've done. What he was talking about is the homosexual agenda. And that's exactly why they're protesting in Toronto, because they fear that the homosexual progress is going to be taken back 10, 15, 20 years. Me, that speaks volumes of the Democratic Party game.
Well, I will say that I do not have any complaints about somebody else's way of life, and it certainly is none of my business. And as long as their way of life isn't made public, what should be made private, we're all in the same boat, and you're just another human being to me. If anybody that is I would say heterosexual and flaunts it and walks around being a heterosexual, that is, I would say, in my opinion, the same exact thing. So don't get it twisted. We are very loving when it comes to all different groups of people, and there are homosexual Christians and there are homosexual Christian flat earthers in this world right now, and Jesus loves you, and we want you to be part of the truth community, and we are all in the same boat together, just for the record.
I'm not going to make any jokes.
No jokes, Jibby. Yeah, and it doesn't matter what we condone or not. You know, I just got to put that I've definitely done some very bad things in my life, Jibby.
Don't make it easy for me, Pillock.
I know. You're going to start with the gay joke. I know, and that's fine. Guess what?
How was college?
Guess what? I know. Bro, I went to Catholic school too. Do you realize that you could literally blow the top of the internet off?
Yeah.
Okay, so I went there for 7 years myself, bro, and I was such a hyper horrible child that just wanted to kick a soccer ball in the church. They never mess with me, let me tell you.
Yeah, I feel kind of neglected. Like, why didn't priests come at me? Am I ugly?
Yeah, when you're a smart ass kid that, you know, is always hungry and looking for something to eat, or, you know, or not, and wanting to go outside, I remember carrying that cross, man. The first time the other dudes like left me out, I remember going to Catholic school and had to do the altar boy thing where you carry the cross down the aisle and you got to hold the book while the guy reads it.
You were.
Yeah, I had to hold listen to that. Yeah, you can make the joke. You can make a video out of this, Jibby. You better beat the atheist to it though, because a lot of those guys are gonna get me. I used to hold the book. I'm sitting there holding the book. It's like I'm like, why am I holding this for like this guy? This is kind of weird. Like, I was like, I wouldn't have somebody hold a book for me. I remember thinking about that. Like, why? I don't know. Yep.
Okay, just a second. If I can. I just want to just talk about this chat room for a second.
There's no fighting going on, is there?
No, but there's some comments I want to just get to here. Who is Richard Clark?
Richard Clark is a supposed non-globalist, not a flat earther, not sure guy that sometimes says things that he shouldn't, and supposedly is a Christian and just sometimes can't behave. But yeah, he's had some issues with him before, so we definitely need to start handing out wrenches and stuff, Rand, if there's any problems.
Well, he just asserted that Patricia here. Well, I'll just quote him.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is
Patricia-
exactly what I'm talking about. This Jibby. You better start saying something, Jibby, because I'm about to go off.
I already said it in chat. I'll say it publicly.
Okay.
So he said Patricia is being planted into flat Earth for 3,000 every 2 weeks.
Good.
So he's saying she's getting paid $1,500 a week
Good.
as a plant into the flat Earth community.
Good.
So what? That's a pretty heavy assertion.
Yep, exactly.
What evidence do we have of this? Because I don't know her well enough to. I don't know her well enough to say that you're lying. I don't know her that well. I really don't.
I know, but this should be a matter. Yeah, but this matter, he shouldn't say that in a chat that's public, Rand. And I've already had problems with this guy.
He shouldn't.
Right, let me tell you right now, Rand, this guy has already attacked Paula a few times for no reason. Paula, which I'm not going to say she's innocent. You know, we all have our problems, but she's one of the nicest ladies I've ever met on here, and he's attacked her. So this, we're going to actually, next time, Rand, you're going to have to set up a wrench system. There's certain people, like I told you, there's some problems here. This is exactly what I'm talking about. These people posing.
I just want to get.
Yeah, it's gonna be next time we're gonna have wrenches. Okay, go ahead.
And I just want to get him to if he has any evidence that he can just provide it. He's more than welcome to come in here and defend his assertion. But I like evidence. I mean, if you're going to make an assertion like that, you need, like, I can't just say that knowledge scavenger is a political agent for the Russian mafia. I just can't say that without having some kind of proof. So where's the proof?
Well, that's the thing. Even if he had proof of her receiving money, that doesn't mean anything either, even if it was from the government.
Right.
And that doesn't mean, so what are you going to do with an accusation like that? I mean, here's these people, they call themselves Christians, but they've never read the Bible. They don't see what these things say about people in these cases.
Right.
When someone brings forth good fruit, though, and is actually presenting themselves in a way that's not anti-Christian, that is kind of one of the most important factors, especially when they're, so this hatred thing, this is the guy in 2 Timothy bitching about the fake. This is the same thing in 2 Timothy, Rand.
Yeah. Well, I just like to, when we're hosting a chat or a hangout, Pill, I just like to know who I'm conversing with and why they make statements like this, because I've spoken to this person and I think she's wonderful. I think that she's on target with what she's doing, and she does a fantastic job of conveying this flat earth truth. So for me, I go to Luke 9 verse 50 in Scripture, and if this individual is a Christian, if you're a Christian, you should know Luke 9 verse 50, and it states that John had come to Jesus saying, "Master, we came across somebody that was casting out demons, and we stopped him because we knew he wasn't one of us." And Jesus said, No. Don't stop them. If they're for you, they are not against you. So I would appreciate it if you would apply that to your character, that you don't attack people or try to stop people from doing things that are, in my opinion, true and correct. And especially in my hangouts or in a flat out elected hangout, I can assure you of one thing about this particular channel. We protect our own. Anybody willing to step up and tell the truth. You don't have to be a Christian. You could be a Muslim and come in here and talk about flat earth, and I'm going to be cool with you. It has nothing to do with your religion. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin or the weight of your body mass. For me, it comes down to, then you're not against me. This is a flat earth discussion with extra truth on other topics. So if you are in the truth, then you're not against us here. So I don't want anybody coming into these hangouts, whether it's in chat or whether it's in voice or whether it's on video, opposing the very truth to messenger out to those that need to hear it.
I
that's
posted another section. I think it'd be a passage of scripture, Philippians 1:15-18. I might just read that quick if that's okay.
yes, you can.
It is true that Paul is speaking here as it is true that some preach Christ out of envy and rivalry, but others out of goodwill. The latter do so out of love, knowing that I am put here for the defense of the gospel. The former preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can stir up trouble for me while I'm in chains. But what does it matter? The important thing is that in every way, whether from false motives or true, Christ is preached, and because of this I rejoice. So the principle that Paul is laying down there is that so what if some people are fakes, as long as the message is true? That's what matters. And if we get tied up and mired down with all these gossipy innuendos about who is shacked up with who and who is an agent for what matters is what message they're promoting and what positive things they're doing. And we've got it right there in the Bible and just in black and white terms.
Right. It's not, we have to remember, it's not about the messenger, it's about the message. Okay? As long as people are waking up to the truth, it doesn't matter who's doing it. It's how it's being done. And I think that we have to concentrate on that. Like Trump, okay? Like, look, the elite, what they do, they don't work over a day, a year, 10 years, 5 years. Their goals are over 100, thousands of years. So what they're doing with the fake news with Alex Jones, he's already controlled opposition. So what they're doing is they set him in place with the Bohemian Grove, gave him street credit, allowed him to go in there and videotape it and release that, and make him the alternative news. He is the biggest alternative news on the internet. I don't care what anybody says, he is. And he is controlled. And so if they're going to attack fake news and shut down Alex Jones, which he is telling the truth, he's a fearmonger, but he is telling the truth. That's how they use psychological warfare. This is a war for your mind, and this is what they're doing. But it's still the message, though. We got to remember what they did for us, anyways, regardless of what happened. We have to remember what they did. They did expose what is happening, and that is truth. And truth is all that matters in the end. So,
wait, I'm kind of taken aback by what I'm reading in chat here. Is this a real thing?
Go ahead and just read it off for us,
Women are
Jibby.
not to preach the Bible? Is that real?
Oh, there are people who believe that. That's why I wrote, one of the reasons I wrote that book that I wrote. I went through the entire Bible and ripped that to shreds.
Like, that's a real thing?
It's a real thing.
Well, you got to realize, though, that's like, when I go to the car dealership with my wife, she knows not to say anything because we're doing there's different circumstances in life, but there's some circumstances where my wife actually is in charge and I have to do things that she needs me to do. And it depends on the individual situation. And sometimes actually the wife is actually supposed to correct the husband if he is wrong. And also the husband has to die for his wife. That is ultimately, so don't get it twisted here. This is so stupid. We don't need, if we really want to say, some people can say things are allegorical, then they're going to say that a woman can't preach the Bible. Shut up. Get a life, Richard, please.
I think they should totally be able to preach the Bible, and their place is in the kitchen, and they should shut up. But the Bible, I mean, obviously they should be able to preach it, but just, make sure that they know their place everywhere else, and everything should be fine. No?
There was a time.
Yeah, there's a balance. Yeah, Jibby,
Paul
could
was
be.
setting up the churches in Corinthians, where this is in the beginning days, back in Old Testament, and also, or I'm sorry, in New Testament, when Paul was arranging and set up the churches, that in order to keep everything organized, that women were not to speak and not to preach the gospel. We have come a long way since then. And what people don't understand is that Christ left us with one commandment, and that commandment was to love as he loved. And if you keep that commandment, then you're going to obey all other commandments. The idea that women are not allowed to preach the gospel is untrue. As a matter of fact, that almost sounds Calvinistic to me, and most certainly religious. Even that you would believe that a woman should not ask anybody else questions in respects to faith, that, you know, she is to be married and have her husband be the head of the spiritual household, which I understand, because in my home, I am the spiritual head of this house. But my wife is as scripturally sound as I am, and certainly as Christian as I am, and a beautiful woman of God. And I don't think I could ever even imagine telling her not to speak or telling her not to preach. As a matter of fact, my wife is a translator at my church, because I'm here in the Dominican Republic. And when I preach or I get up on the podium, she is my translator. So I think it's ridiculous that Christians today try to adhere to those types of laws and rules that do nothing more than disrupt truth and discourage the unbelievers. So no, some of the best preaching I have heard of has come out of women, and especially over here in the Dominican Republic. They have some beautiful pastores, female pastors. So that's a very ill-fated statement by somebody who claims to be a believer in Christ.
Yeah, but I can't post links in the chat, but I do have, if anybody looks at some other websites that I have a book site, and I wrote a book on hierarchy in Christianity that addresses not only the male-female issue, but also the clergy laity issue. They're both two trunks of the same tree, the same main trunk, you know, two branches from the same trunk. And the problem is pride, and people thinking they have privileges or entitlements because of their flesh. And this is exactly what Jesus came to overturn. He said, "Not so among you." And the Apostle Paul did not overturn it either on some legalistic technicality. There's a lot of context that people are ignoring, and it really needs a good looking at, because it hamstrings half the body of Christ. Who but Satan would want half the body of Christ to shut up? And it's been women who have been at the forefront of a lot of world missions, doing all the work of a pastor. And it's ridiculous to the point of absurdity sometimes in churches, where they will call, if a woman leads the youth, then she is a youth leader. But if a man does the exact same thing, he's a youth pastor. And they play these word games as if I liken it to wearing a cardboard crown from Burger King. You know, that this is what God has ordered. And it's sad is what it is.
That's we don't need to hear any more from satanic whores, because that's, you know, if you do the same thing a man does, you're a whore and a prostitute. Man can do it, and that's fine. I thought we taught you people that early on.
Well, and a prostitute for the CIA. So
CIA, that's kind of new, but usually if a man posts his private parts on Twitter, well, that's just him being off. You know, he's a little off that day. A woman says, "Hey, baby," well, she's a whore. Like, there's an inequality that we don't really want to acknowledge. A lot of men don't anyway, because they're like, well, yeah, you're right. Obviously, we can't deny that. Like, they just don't want to say that because it kind of changes the way things go. You know,
nobody likes to give up entitlement. That's what it's all about.
Entitlement and I don't know how else to put it, but yeah. But you know what? The TV is kind of doing the opposite. They're turning men into the bumbling idiots, and the woman is the head of the household, which it's kind of just the polar opposite of what was broken before, where the man's the boss and the woman's place is in the kitchen. Well, that's obviously broken. But now they're reversing it, where the woman is the breadwinner and the man is the bumbling idiot. Kevin James, King of Queens. I can go on with the idiot fat. They have to be fat. Fat, balding man, white man, black man, doesn't matter. They have to be fat and balding because that's the image of the common man who is the bumbling idiot, while the intelligent alpha male woman is in charge of the household. This is the new programming. And what they're doing is just pendulum. It's just back and forth.
Exactly.
Back and forth. As long as, all right, this one's warring with that one, and this one's warring with that one, and then this one's warring with that one, and this one, and then they just laugh. And as we go back and forth, and they go to the bank and cash in and laugh.
And I think
enjoy how we support them at the bottom of the pyramid.
And I think hold on. I'm an alpha female, and I wasn't created by the media or from the elite or from this dogma that's being taught to us. This is who I am. So there is alpha female.
Right. I know there is, but is it right to be angry about it?
I'm not angry.
The bets are off. Yep.
Whoa. Alpha female doesn't mean angry.
Wow. Okay.
It doesn't mean bitch. It doesn't mean any of those derogatory words. See, right there, that's programming.
It is, and that's what I'm trying to point out.
Programming for you to say that. That's programming.
It is programming. That's what I'm pointing out. It is.
Oh, right.
And I can say, I mean, Jimmy, I've been married for 27 years, the same guy, and what works for us is that we're not trying to see who's the boss. Neither of us is trying to take control. Neither of us wants control. And what it is we're a team. A true complementary team is like the left and right hand. They just mesh together. They work together. And what he's good at, he takes the lead. What I'm good at, I take the lead. And it's nothing to do with pride. It's to do with ability and experience and whatever it is. You pick the best person for the job, and it's not always based on genetics. I mean, there are weak sniveling men and there are strong women, and it's just a person thing. And if people would just see each other as people instead of pink and blue boxes, I think a lot of problems would be solved.
Oh, step one, turn the TV off.
Yeah.
Please, that's step one. Then deal with your partner. Learn them. Know what they're about. And don't get with somebody because of physical reasons only. Because that's absurd. You might as well be in a cage and just be like, I reproduce. That's my thing. Well, so you must just care about the physical only to get you aroused. Well, yep, that's it. That's all I care about. And that's what that is. If it's like, yeah, my wife is into bricklayering and bread making and the Bible, and I'm into satanic metal videos and drinking blood, but we love each other. No, you don't. You just love each other's body, maybe. That's it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's just don't be with somebody you're not into in every, because and this applies to men. Men understand this. Like, what do they say in certain movies? You got baby batter on the brain. Once that is done, that action is completed. You think like a woman, don't you? Like we're like back to earth. We're like back to normal. We're like, all right. Now that that's out of my entire system, now I can function normally. And sometimes that's what we just need. We just need to get that out. And then we go, and then we think like you. We're like, you're like, I need to do laundry. And we're like, yeah, I need to help you with that. Like, that's exactly what would happen as soon as we get this out of our systems, when it's built up and pent up and whatever. But you need to be with the right person. And we're getting kind of programmed to get with the wrong people who are not like us. We're like, oh, you have a tattoo of a goat's head on your face? So do I. We must belong together. Like, what? Like this wacky stuff that's on TV. Oh my God. First step one, turn it off. Oh my God. It's insanity on that thing. Oh,
Yeah, and I mean,
what else
the
to
whole
say.
thing, Jesus' example, his teachings, and everything from start to finish was humility, and whoever wants to be the greatest must be the least. And that doesn't stop at the door of your house. You know, the rules don't suddenly change in certain relationships. It's a matter of humility, and the person who wants to be in charge is the least qualified for the position, because the person who should lead, especially in Christianity, is the person who doesn't want to, because they're not going to have their ego all over the place, and they're not going to be looking to excuse the pun, play the trump card every time there's a dispute. I win because I have a Y chromosome. You know, that's not how it works. And Jesus never taught any such thing. And he said that he humbled himself in Philippians 2:5-11. He humbled himself and took on the nature of a servant. And at the Last Supper, he washed the disciples' feet and said, you know, if you won't do this, you won't have any part with me, because look, I'm your Lord and Master, I'm your creator, and I washed your feet like a household servant. And anybody who doesn't follow in my footsteps is not worthy of me. I mean, how could he have made it any more clear that in the group of his followers, anybody who claims to follow him has to follow his example, actually follow him and humble themselves. And you can't claim privilege on your basis of your flesh. That's just so opposite the gospel and everything he did.
Well, I have a rule, and my rule is this: the one that loves the least controls the relationship. And you are very blessed if you are to come into a relationship where you love equally and evenly. And that is why in Scripture it states that you should be evenly yoked. Is that two oxen, as they are carrying or towing a cart, they have the yoke in their mouth, and if one is pulling harder or to the left and the other is pulling to the right, or if they're not pulling evenly, then it's going to upset the cart. And that is very true in relationships, that people need to be evenly loving, evenly in faith, evenly in respect, evenly in purpose, and evenly in where they see themselves going as a couple. I attribute this as well to our relationship with God. That there is no way in the world that we're ever going to love God as much as he loves us. And for that very reason, we are in control of our relationship with God.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly.
one thing's for sure, Jibby's not in control. Neither am I.
No, my relationship with my wife is so evenly yoked that there isn't even an element of envy or jealousy. There isn't an element of you should have and I didn't. You did and I could have. There's no. Let me just say this to you, that my wife is so godly that she understands that God gave men a list of things to do. And she doesn't ask me for my list. She doesn't reach over to do the things on my list. You know why? Because she knows that there are more things in this world that men can't do than there are things that men can do. So she doesn't need to be doing my things. She does her things. And her things are equally as important as the things that I need to do on my list. God really created this thing we call relationship, this thing we call marriage, this thing we call partnership. He created it with perfection. As long as we apply ourselves to his design and not try to redesign it to fit into our own understandings.
Yeah, it's the Holy Spirit that gives gifts, and it's not up for us to say, "Hey, you shouldn't have that gift," to another person. I don't care who they are. It's not our call to make, and to say that God puts you in a box by your flesh alone is like I was saying, so antithetical to everything Jesus came to do and say that it astounds me that there is still such a strong movement to hamstring the body of Christ like that. And when people are more worried about what somebody else is supposed to be doing, they don't get it. They just don't. Not even the basics.
Okay, so let's get on to a topic that maybe people can enjoy. Is there anything, Jimmy, because we're talking Christian stuff now, and I know that's not your particular forte. So let's talk about flat Earth, and let's talk about the things about flat Earth that have you. Okay, let's say that there are 10 things about flat Earth. Point 1 through 10. And let's say that 8 of them you're on page with. You're like, yep. Are there anything about flat Earth that you're still not quite okay with? Things that maybe could use more investigation, or that don't provide the correct evidence? Things that you would say stay away from if you're going to preach flat Earth. Stay away from these things. Well, what would they be?
All right. Well, we definitely don't know exactly what is going on 100% with the astronomy. We don't know what the moon really is. We don't know what the sun really is. We don't know how the stars move if the Earth is stationary. This is all astronomy based. Now, I love astronomy. I've been into it most of my life. And I still have a hole in my heart having to let it go. And so, but to me, it's almost like, well, now I get to relearn it correctly. And I have that same passion for astronomy. But now I have to start at kindergarten again. And I got to start all over from the beginning, teaching myself astronomy. But from the real untainted perspective, and not like, this is what you're seeing. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. Like, no, now I'm going to be like, this is what I think I'm seeing. And I'm going to go from there. And not listen to anybody else's opinions of what I should believe anymore. And so if you're, a lot of people like to argue the ceiling to argue the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, if you're on a flat Earth, how do you explain all the balls upstairs in the ceiling? All the planets seem to be balls, and the sun and the moon. So therefore, you must be on a ball. And of course, you say, is a pool table a sphere because the balls on it are a sphere? Or do you determine the shape of the dance floor by looking up at what the mirror ball is doing on the ceiling? Because it's really the same metaphor. I worked a mirror ball for 10 years, so I understand the ceiling has nothing to do with the floor. But we're looking at the ceiling and trying to determine the shape of the floor, which is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. So work with the floor if you're new to flat Earth or you want to start debating it, because a lot of people will say, show me a picture of the edge, or STFU, shut up. And it's kind of like, okay, well, do they make pizzas without a crust? Because if they don't, then the pizza is spherical, right? Like, like for real, like if you don't see an edge, therefore it's a sphere. Okay, what about pizzas without a crust? Because that exists. Well, a pizza can have a crust. What if you're in the middle of the pizza and you're the size of an ant and you see the edge? Give me a picture of the edge. All right, you're dead. I'm killing you. You didn't answer fast enough. Like, that's what it's like. So it's like Well, I can provide you a picture of the edge. Give me 5 minutes. Nope, you're offline. That's it. You don't have a picture immediately. Like, that's what's going to happen. I'm just giving you a preview of 2 years from now when we do have pictures. People are going to be like, all right, picture of the edge. Oh, actually, I do have one. Here it is. Boom, you're offline. Nope, sorry, you didn't have one ready. Obviously, you're not serious. Let's go back to the crazy flat earthers. Like, that's what it's going to be like 2 years from now. When we do have evidence in hand, they're going to kick us off, make us sound stupid. That's how this goes. How many times do we have to do this, people? 9/11, Sandy Hook, Boston bombing. We show you the proof, and you go, and then you go on. Like, what? How many times we got to do this? Oh, are we just going to let go of the hula hoop and just go, you know what? Stay in kindergarten. We got to go.
Right, but
Okay?
who in their right mind, though, Jibby? Jibby, right, that's a great point. I have to say one thing about that great point, and you brought up, I think 51% of the people we walk into, who in their right mind would ask a hypothetical question about something that can't be answered?
I know. It's kind of like, all right, what's
no, do you really, but that's
of?
not right. That's not your problem, though.
Yeah.
This is part of the psychosis that these people are exposed. You're asking me to do something you can't do, and you've never known anybody that has done it, but you're asking me to do it. The guy you just met online, or, or you're asking these questions. I mean, it's a psychosis. You've never done it. You've never known anybody to do it. And I'm supposed to be this magical Superman that can do. And when did I ever claim there's an edge? Edge of what? I never claimed it ended. Who do you think? What flat Earth model did you already research before you heard about the flat Earth? What do you mean edge? I mean, what's your idea of an edge? There's about 10,000 different things of an edge. I can think of an edge of a cliff, an edge of a pizza, edge of ice. There's ice walls all around. There's only 10,000 pictures online of ice walls, and that's not the edge. It doesn't stop. It keeps going. So what edge are they talking about?
Yeah, that's the
again, it's all pre-programming.
Yeah, it's the edge of the water, and then there's a whole shitload of land beyond that. That planes, I was getting asked today on forums. They're like, okay, what about all these Antarctica tours, Antarctica flights, Antarctica this, Antarctica that? And I'm like, yes, they will do guided tours. Yes, you can fly near Antarctica, but a lot of people don't know. The pilots have to fly 10,000 feet near Antarctica. They're not allowed to go 30,000 feet. It's got to be 10,000 feet. Isn't that a little bizarre? Go look it up.
It's all a scam. You're not even getting anything. You're looking at the edge of the ice of a ring, and then you're flying back to where you came from. That's not flying over the South Pole. It does not take a 7-year-old child to realize that you have to end up on the other side. If it's a ball that would have been capable, it would have been done 10,000 billion times by now, and we'd be in the Jetsons by now. We'd have burgers and pizza, flat Earth pizza joints on Mars by now. I mean, how stupid is this?
Yeah, can you imagine the Discovery Channel and PBS monotonous shows? And once again, we're going to show you how the magnetic North Pole works. And here we are with the footage that you've seen a million times of the magnetic North Pole. And this is how the compasses work. Oh, and here is all of Antarctica again, that we're going to show you endlessly. No, you know what they show you? They show you a possum scratching its nose. Like, that's what they're going to show you 1,000 hours of. They're not going to show you anything you actually want to see. That's important.
So I got something that I came across today. Is this guy, he's a flat earth engineer. He just recently woke up and he made a video. It's really short. Do you guys mind if I share it?
By all means.
I actually got somebody who woke up to flat earth today just by watching this video.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Sorry for dead space. So in conclusion, Jibby, you were basically saying that astronomy is the only problem. And I'd have to agree.
Oh, yes, right now. Yes. Looking at the floor, you know the physics of the floor. Looking upstairs at the ceiling, well, we're still trying to figure that out. So
yeah, and
they
will
the
ask
funny you questions to try to explain the ceiling, and we can't answer them now, so they'll discredit all other information.
Yeah, the big problem, they never separate the dome from the sky from the ceiling. There's a difference. Why is the sky flat? You know, so yeah.
We don't know what's going on up there, but we do know what the ground looks like. And water doesn't curve. At least that we can see.
All right, so I'm gonna push play.
All right.
Okay, thank you. It's 30 minutes. Obviously, we're not gonna watch all that. We'll watch about 10 minutes, and if anybody's interested, his name is I Don't Get It, Sam, the world first flat Earth engineer. So go ahead and subscribe. As you can see, his name right here. Go ahead and subscribe to him and watch the rest of the video.
Yes, my love. This is Balls Out Physics, episode 1. Planes flying on a spinning ball. About 7 months ago, or 8 months ago, beginning of the year on New Year's Day, I went and saw Interstellar, and I thought it was awesome. And it got me to go back and read this book for probably about the third time in my life. It was written in 1959. Really good book. Very good explanation of relative motion. From planes moving across the Earth with balls bouncing inside them, all the way up to things traveling at the speed of light. It gives a really good explanation of Einstein's theories. And so, here I am, my head in the clouds, thinking about relativity and space travel and all this craziness. And I'm just bored one day, sitting on the couch, looking through YouTube videos, and a couple flat Earth conspiracy videos popped up in that suggested videos to watch. And I'd seen those before, and I always had thought to myself, there's just no way, But I'm a very open-minded person, and it's something different. So I said, what the heck, I'll watch one of these. I think it would be good for a laugh. About halfway into it, I wasn't really laughing. I was actually questioning a lot of things. And one of the biggest things that caught my attention was planes flying on a spinning Earth, trying to land on north and south runways. Rotates from west to east, and things don't seem to line up based on the examples they were showing. This was all graphically, and I had to look into this a lot. And what really surprised me at first is, I'm a structural engineer, and I've taken a lot of physics courses in my life, and I started to look into the curvature of the Earth and the rotation and the speeds of Earth, and it kind of blew my mind that I've never really thought about how fast the Earth rotates or how much it actually curves. Here I am researching flat Earth theory, actually studying the curvature of Earth and the speed at which it rotates. There's some serious irony there. Our Earth, our model shows it spinning from west to east around an axis, which is represented by this little stick, and the circumference of the Earth at the equator, right here, the circumference of the Earth is 24,901 miles. So at the equator, since that's the farthest point from the axis of rotation, and there are 24 hours in a day, the speed of the Earth is 24,901 miles divided by 24 hours gives you 1,038 miles per hour. That's the instantaneous velocity at any point along the equator. That's what it has to be if everything we're told is true. So that's really fast. That's faster than the speed of sound, which is Mach 1, 761 miles per hour. So I never really thought about how fast that is. I always thought this, just kind of assumed it was moving really slow, and you don't really think about how much distance has to be covered in one day. But I also had never thought about or even calculated how much it actually curves. The general accepted value is 8 inches per mile, and that's what it has to be based on the circumference. That's 8 inches per mile, varying with the distance squared, because if you're standing or if you're on a point that's just above the surface of the Earth, or just on the surface of the Earth, and you look straight out away from you, across water, of course, because land has mountains and all kinds of things. But going across the surface of water, at the first mile, you would expect to see an 8-inch drop down to the curve, and at the second because it's a curve curving down, it's continuously getting farther away from that horizontal line that you're driving, that you're sighting out away. The second mile is 8 inches times 2 miles squared, which is 32 inches. And then third mile is 8 inches times 3 miles squared, and if 3 miles squared is 9, we do 72 inches. It starts to drop off pretty quick. And so I found that the flat earth community had created this. Someone out there did this. This is a curvature chart. The flat earthers are making a curvature chart. And they're showing how much curvature would have to be, we would have to see in all directions, because it's a sphere, anywhere on Earth. And this was drawn in AutoCAD, and since I'm an engineer, I have access to AutoCAD. The first thing I did is I went and drew a circle with a radius of 3,959 miles, which is the accepted radius of our Earth. I converted that to feet, which comes out to over 20 million feet, and started plotting points and finding that this is very accurate. This is exactly what you get. So I'm starting to wrap my head around how much curvature there should be, and that's quite a bit. And it's kind of hard to find it. So anyway, one of the first things I did is I set up a problem about the spinning planes. It's a physics problem. I studied relativity. I figured I could do this. The idea of this problem is that we are an observer, a stationary observer, looking at Earth, watching a plane fly. And this is based on a direct flight I took in college from JAX to LAX. The two airports are about 2,000 miles away from each other. And I flew there and then flew back, and I like doing the problem going back because it's more interesting that way. Because we're rotating with the Earth, and also some flat earthers out there have said things like, if the Earth is rotating 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, planes can't fly that fast, so they can't catch up to it. And that's not really true, because if the plane's already rotating with the Earth when it takes off, it's the speed it gains in the air is added to the initial speed it already had. So that's not true. But there is a problem here. That's what I want to get into. So these two airports are 2,000. Here's my dimension line here. They're 2,000 miles apart, roughly. We're just going to say they're 2,000 miles apart in order to keep this simple. Okay? And they're also, they're not at the equator. They're north of the equator. A little over 2,000 miles, both of them. Jacksonville's over here in Florida, and LAX is over here, California. LAX is about 250 miles north. I think 250 miles north of JAX, Jacksonville. But we're going to say that they're the same latitude, just to keep it easy, to keep the problem easy. And so, as I was showing you on the ball, as you move up away from the equator, the diameter of the Earth around center axis decreases, so your velocity decreases. You can calculate this, and I played around with some numbers, and I got between 850 and 900 miles an hour for both airports. So I just said, let's just use 900, just to keep it easy. It's a hypothetical problem, but it is based on reality. So the reality we're all taught to believe. So here we are. We're going to fly back to JAX. Sitting on the airport in LAX, we're going 900 miles an hour east. The Earth is moving that fast, but we can't feel it because everything's stuck to it right there, so we're told. So the plane takes off and gets up to its cruising altitude, whatever that is for the day, 30,000, 33,000 feet, whatever they're at. And it gets up to a cruising speed of, let's say, the velocity of the plane, VP, equals 600 miles per hour. Now, since it was already moving, the velocity of the plane relative to Earth, which we'll call VPE, is now 600 plus 900 miles an hour, gives us 1,500 miles per hour. And really moving. Okay, but it's relative velocity, so it only seems like 600 miles per hour to us on the plane, right? That's the theory. So everything makes sense. We're moving fast, 600 miles per hour faster than the Earth is spinning, so we're moving towards Jacksonville. But here's where we run into a problem. Let's say there's a north-south runway in Jacksonville. Now, Jacksonville's runways are actually orientated kind of 45 degrees northwest and northeast, but north-south runways do exist. You can go look on Google Earth, you'll find them. They're all over the place. And of course, LAX's runways all point east-west, and they're right on the water, right on the ocean. So here to this point, right before they make the turn, the plane slows down. Okay, this is where the problem comes in. Planes cannot stop flying before they make a turn. They can't go to zero, and going to zero would bring you back to 900 miles per hour that you started at. But you can't go to zero because a plane has to keep flying forward to have uplift on the wings and keep itself in the air. Duh. So it's going to slow down before it makes the turn, but it's not going to zero. So let's say it slows down to 300 miles per hour. And then also this is the speed it slows down to before it makes this 90-degree turn, or this right angle turn. So here, the plane, right before it makes the turn, is traveling at BP prime equals 300 miles per hour. BP prime is just the new speed, okay, or the new velocity in this direction. But its relative velocity to Earth, which would be VPE prime, is now 300 from 1500 is 1200 miles per hour. So now, as this plane goes through the turn, when it gets here,
Right after this, I'll stop it.
Turn, it's got a vector of 300 miles per hour, which is its airspeed, is VP prime in this direction. But it also still has this velocity, VPE prime, right up here, 1200 miles per hour. It doesn't lose that velocity. It can't, because the Earth is spinning under it, and it had that initial speed when it took off. The only way you can get rid of that is if you make the Earth stop spinning. So, when you get down here and you're trying to line up with the runway, you're going 300 miles per hour towards it. Look a little better. And you still got VP prime here, but you also have VPE prime. Well, there's a real problem there, because the airport, the ground over here, is moving. You can see that at 900 miles per hour. We said the velocity of the Earth is the same at both airports. But the plane is moving to the east still, 1200 miles per hour. The plane is moving faster than the runway. They can't line up. What you actually get, if you draw this point over here, actually, let's erase this and do it right here before we started. What you would actually end up with is a path that looks like this. More of a linear path, because the plane, at this point represents the plane. The plane has a vector this way and another much larger vector this way. So you're getting something like that. The plane is actually sliding sideways through the air. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it's what's going on. This question, of course, people say, well, the atmosphere. This is what I thought too initially. The atmosphere is moving with the Earth. So, since the atmosphere is moving with the Earth, it's like a fluid that you're traveling through. So it doesn't matter that your initial speed was 900 miles per hour, and then you have a relative speed, and that doesn't work. When you really start to think about it, it doesn't work. The best example I got from another engineer I showed this problem to was he said, "What about a fly on a train? The train." The air in the train is moving with the train, and the fly can buzz all around inside the train. You've probably seen bugs in a vehicle before of some sort. The fly is unaffected by the movement of the train. Well, first of all, a fly can hover, which a plane can't do, and also the air in the train is contained within the shell of the train. Earth does not have a shell that, at least so we're told, that contains all the air. Space shuttles and rockets and everything flies through it. They leave the Earth. What's supposed to hold our atmosphere to our Earth? Gravity. So we're told, air actually still has a mass, and so gravity pulls. Anything with mass exerts, as we're told, anything with mass exerts a force on anything else with mass. They attract each other. I'll get into that in another episode, because that's also a big issue I'm finding. But so the atmosphere, spinning with the Earth, wind blows in all different directions. It's not constantly blowing from west to east, because if it was moving with the Earth, it would be blowing from west to east. And that wouldn't help us at all, because, the plane is also going from west to east. So if anything, the atmosphere is just pushing it along. It's not helping slow it down. If you reverse the problem and go the other way and flip the runways around, which is what I initially did, you end up with the plane going 300 miles per hour too slow. And of course, if the atmosphere is going from west to east, then maybe you could say that the atmosphere pushes the plane back up to that velocity. But Newton's first law says that an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. So an object in motion relative to another object in motion stays in motion relative to that object unless acted upon by an outside force. It has to. The atmosphere doesn't answer the question. And the other problem with the atmosphere is air gets thinner as you get farther away from the Earth. So the gravitational pull on the air as you get higher and higher is less. So by conservation of angular momentum, air at higher altitudes would have to be spinning slower. And this is where the actual concept of dark matter comes from in galaxies, because stars at the outer edges are spinning at the same speed as.
All right, do you guys want to finish watching this? This guy's good. What do you think?
I watched many of his talks. They're very good, but I'm not sure. Is this a recent one or?
No, it's not a recent
I didn't
one.
think so. Yeah.
A recent one I found today. Somebody shared it with me, and I was like, good. Finally.
Yeah.
Also, another person that is saying the same thing Pillbox is saying, same thing that I'm saying, Arcane is saying, Rand is saying, you're saying,
Right.
Jibby, like we got another one on the team that's breaking it down with their own numbers and laying it out and telling you it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that it's I forget when it was, maybe as much as a year ago, when somebody else's channel had a mirror of his video, the first one he did, where he started on that whiteboard, and I forget what the topic was that day, but he was just trying to deal with what he was finding, and he was being honest, in which we were talking about a matter of character, where you just have to be willing to take what the facts are. He's one of those kind of people.
You can see honesty in what he's presenting, what he's saying. He's telling you, well, you're wrong about this, but there's still something wrong about it.
Right.
Right? Yeah. And that's the point, is that the truth. It doesn't matter if it doesn't agree with you, or it doesn't matter. It's about the truth. So if that is okay, I'm okay with that. If that's the truth, I'm okay with that. But there's still something wrong with the model. And in the way he's presenting that is awesome. So I'll just let him finish, maybe like 2 more minutes. I'll turn it off and let the boys speak and let us speak and move on.
Alrighty.
Yeah, do what,
All right,
do
cool.
what you want, man. Do what you want. Play it all.
The inner ring of the galaxies, and so we say there's more mass there to make up. So that's another thing I'll cover in a coming episode. But there's no real answer for this. And so I started thinking about this. I'm trying to visualize this, because we never do problems like this. In my engineering classes in college, we used to break down. We derive equations. Calculus. We use calculus to break down equations that somebody else had already derived before. And I always thought it was annoying, because it always comes down to a simple algebraic expression. Everything in our world becomes very simple. It's kind of amazing. But everything breaks down to a simple algebraic expression. We go through all this proof to back check what these guys had done. But never did we back check our theory of living on a spinning ball. Ever. We don't.
He said he went to school and he never fact checked this. This was never even presented in class.
Right.
Wow.
It's what they don't tell you. Yeah.
It's to keep the lie.
Why? Why don't we talk about the curvature? Why don't we talk about the velocity? I went back to school and took astronomy in 2013, and we kind of talked about this, but not in depth like this. And then the other thing I started to think about is, I live in Central Florida. I heard a sonic boom one time from supposedly the space shuttle landing. Rattled my windows and doors. It woke me up, scared the crap out of me. It was pretty awesome, actually, at the time. The landing strip for the runway at Cape Canaveral is north-south. that the north end actually points a little bit to the west, this way. Actually, west is actually this way. But south. And I also have seen the space shuttles take off from the beach. I accidentally saw one. I just happened to walk out on the beach up in Jacksonville one time and saw one take off. And I saw it go out over the water, going to the east, which would actually be this way, going out over the water to the east. And then it disappeared from my sight. I thought it went out into space. So it's
right there. It disappeared from his sight, and he thought it went out to space. We think it is going out there because they're telling us it is, but we don't see it doing it. We just think it is.
Right.
It curves. It curves and then it's gone. Where'd it go? Well, they told us it went to space, so we automatically think, oh, it went to space. It's on its mission. Yay. But no one's seen proof of that.
Right.
Relative to the rotation of Earth. Definitely, when it gets up into space, it's still going to have those components. It's adjusting with, we're told it adjusts its movement in space with air jets, spraying mass out into nothingness, which I'm also going to do another episode on, because that doesn't make sense either.
Nope.
But we'll get into that too. So now this shuttle is going to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere, traveling at thousands of miles per hour when it comes back in, and it's supposed to come back in gliding. It comes through the atmosphere, and you've seen all those videos where the fuselage heats up, and it's slowing down, of course, as it's coming into our atmosphere. But if this thing is coming in at thousands of miles an hour, and trying to come in from either the north or the south end of that runway, and it definitely has components of velocity to the east or west, and that runway is spinning somewhere between 850 and 900 miles per hour to the east. This is insane.
Yeah.
The little jets that shoot to the side and the shuttle aren't going to do anything in our atmosphere. This is insane. It doesn't work. Really, try to think about this. Try to wrap your head around an Earth spinning. In all the movies we see of space, the science fiction movies and everything, whenever like a ship is coming up on a planet, the planets always seem to be stationary. Because if they were actually rotating at the speeds they would have to be rotating for the length of their days, whether it's Earth or another fictional planet in a movie, it would probably hurt our heads to have to see the ships and things rotating like that. So for Hollywood and to make things easier, we see it stationary. It appears stationary. Of course, you'd say it's moving too slow, but it's actually moving pretty fast. So Earth is, at least. So anyway. Here's the spinning ball problem, but we also still have the curvature problem here. We're flying a very distance, 2,000 miles. Based on that curvature chart I showed you earlier, the curvature that this plane has to fly over. So, in the architecture and engineering world, looking down on something is called a plan view. So we call this a plan view of Earth. And we cut sections through our plan views to look at a section through a building or anything we're designing. So what if we cut a section through the Earth here? This is typically what a section cut line looks like, something like this. Okay, so we're going to cut a section and turn our view, up, looking into the plan view. Okay, so let's draw that. Still 2,000 miles apart from here to here. Say this is LAX over here, JAX over here. Both airports are roughly at sea level. LAX is right on the water, and JAX is a little bit inland, but Florida's flat, so it's basically at sea level. So we've got this curve of the Earth, amount of curvature that we can see over 2,000 miles, and here's our data line, which is sea level. Okay, so this is LAX, this is JAX. Okay, so this distance here, different color for this. This distance here to the curve would be based on 1,000 miles an hour, 1,000 miles of distance. This is rough. Where do we actually measure? Do we measure across the curve, or do we measure the distance between the 2 points? Miles are linear measurements, but we'll just ignore that and just keep it simple and say 1,000 miles. Now you take the curvature chart, you look on here, see if you can see 1,000 miles.
It's almost over. Sorry.
1,000 miles.
Good info here, man.
the height of your curve at 1,000 miles should be roughly 128.4 miles. All right, so this distance here is 128.4 miles. Okay, our plane takes off, heading this way, I guess. It has to follow the curve. And it gets up to about 30,000 feet, 33,000 feet. That's 5 miles. 5 mile is 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet. So now you're up here somewhere, and you're trying to fly over here, like this, I guess. I mean, you can't fly through the earth like that, so you still have to follow the curve, obviously. Well, this plane is flying along and follows this curve, right? The earth is constantly curving, so the plane constantly has to be following the curve. What's the problem? Because when the rudders on a plane are straight, they're, the flaps or rudders, whatever you want to call them, they're called rudders because it's just like a boat moving through water. Air is a fluid, really. And so, when you turn a rudder on a boat, it controls the direction of the boat. It's just the same thing in the air. When a plane turns its rudders on the wings or on the tail, it affects its motion through the fluid, but it's just the atmosphere that's flying through, and it controls its orientation and where it's going. So to follow this curve, the plane would constantly have to nose down. The pilot would constantly have to nose the plane down if that's how a plane flies. When I first thought about this, I'm like, that's crazy. The Earth is constantly curving, so it constantly has to nose down to follow it. So I got on the internet and started looking up explanations for this. People have asked this question before, obviously. And the general accepted explanation for this is that gravity does it. It's basically like it's going into orbit. And because you have that force, you have this force of gravity on the plane, center of the Earth, it makes you follow this orbital path. It's like a ball on a string spinning it around. The force in the string pulling it towards the center makes it actually rotate around. And that's where the theory of all of our orbits in space comes from. Is that force pulling towards the center of mass. All right. But see, there's a problem with that because the rudders on the plane are straight. Not the rudders, the rudders, the elevators, whatever you want to call them, they're straight. But we're following a curve. Okay. So even though the pilot's holding the controls or autopilot or whatever, they're making little adjustments here and there. But basically, you fly up and you level off. You feel that when you fly in a plane. If you've ever flown on a plane before.
Yeah. How many people have flown and feel it when it goes up in the air? You're like, okay, and then it levels out, and it's just smooth sailing from there. Like, how many people have experienced that? That's on the panel right now.
Me.
Right. Well, okay. So explain to us, like, how did it feel? You felt it going up, and then it leveled out, right?
What, are you asking me as a pilot? Because I haven't been a pilot, but
no, as a passenger in a plane.
Yeah, I felt it. Yeah.
All right. So that's what he's about to explain that if you take a ball with the string, with the stick, with the string, with the ball attached, and you spin it, and you go, well, that's how the airplane is staying in gravity to the earth. Well, if you flat out, then that concept is thrown out the window. Concept now.
Right.
Right? Okay.
There's a lot of magician tricks happening. And I don't know how to explain it, but I've been to Disneyland, not Disney World, and there's this one ride, I think it was actually a Star Wars ride, where you sit in it and the lights go out and you're watching a movie screen and you feel a drop in your stomach, like butterflies, and like you're going downhill when you're not. You're just seeing like a downhill motion on the screen. And then they're showing you going through the Death Star, and you're going out of the Death Star, and you're part of the Star Wars action, and you feel it, and you're sitting in a room on a machine that's going up, down, sideways, back and forth, and the screen to your eyes, to your movements on the ground feels real. It feels like you're doing that. So that's kind of what they've done to us. Is they tell us what's going on in the sky, and then we look at it, and then we start to get that feeling like, oh, that's where it's the same thing. They're telling us what we're experiencing and then manufacturing it when we're not really experiencing that. Because in Disneyland, I was in a room on a machine, but I felt like I was going through the Death Star and through space and zooming around an X-Wing and all that stuff. And I felt G-forces. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I was like, I'm experiencing G-forces here. Like, what the hell? Like, it was confusing.
What they do is they already put in your head pre-programming what your sensations will be, your fifth senses. They attack all your senses, your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your body. They attack all of these senses. Put something like that on the screen, your body already knows how to react.
Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. It's pre-programming, predictive programming. Like,
never experienced it before, so how would your body know how to react?
Who's been through space, really? Like, but yet I feel like I have been.
Exactly, and that's pre-programming.
The Disneyland ride, they're throwing me through a machine that doesn't exist, but I felt like I've been there. So when you attack that, it's like a personal attack. Like, hey, I've experienced this. I've been there. No. Like, no, you haven't. You were on a stupid ass Jewish cheap made frickin' virtual reality ride. Like, that's it. But it felt real. I walk out of the ride and I go, that was awesome. But